I love how your what's it called? Like the stream background thing. You know, when you're not hosting someone, it still says Mystic Builds on
Look,
Saturday.
right. What do you? Why would you even bring that up? Why are you bringing that up, buddy? I mean, like, what is that? What are you trying to do?
Sorry.
Yeah, you know, you're not wrong though. And hello and welcome, my friends. It is tea time. MMO Inks may be joining us a little bit later on during the show, but right now it is just the two of us, and we're here to talk about the Guild Wars 2 in general, and of course the recent patch. Episode 2 is out. Give you our amazing insight on that, and just have a conversation for your listening pleasure. So welcome back, everyone. We have at last returned to tea time. So let's just, we might as well just get right into it. Episode 2 is out. We have the second half of the map of Bureau Marches. We've got ourselves a new world boss. We've got ourselves some story and a new strike mission. So I think first things first, let's talk about the headliner, right? The headliner, the big boy, Draka.
The Raven armor?
Wait, the Raven armor?
I mean, that was the headliner. That one got its own video. The cut didn't even.
That's true, actually. That is true, to be fair. It did get its, what was it? It was something like new rewards or something like that. It was the video, or something like that. Quite an unusual video, wasn't it? Actually, someone
super unusual,
playing around with some After Effects and fading in and out all over the place.
Someone just discovered the video editing.
Yeah, they really wanted to flex on it. Like, oh wow, look at this, look how good it was. But the world boss, I'm just going to open this up. I think the world boss is actually really, really good. Probably one of the best bosses they have ever put in the game, and certainly the best boss I believe that's been put in Living Story. I would certainly place this above the Death Branded Shatterer, for example.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it is a really, really excellent encounter, and although it's not very difficult, and
how many times have you played it?
I've done it every day actually since release, and more than once a day sometimes. So quite a few times, I guess. I actually really like it. I do enjoy it. I find it to be a relatively engaging fight, even though it's not particularly punishing. It feels epic. I like the music. I really like the model. I know some people don't really like the look of the dragon, but I actually think he looks really, really cool. The overall aesthetic of the fight, the theme of the fight, how he's kind of like, how he'll jump out of the ground and trying to eat you, right? Like going off and to fight these aspects there as well. The break bar is really spooky when he smashes into the shield there as well. Just the overall design of the fight, mechanically speaking and aesthetically speaking, I think is excellent and a really enjoyable encounter. It's of course. I will say, I must give criticism where it's due as well. I think they maybe overhyped us a little bit about the difficulty and the coordination aspect of it.
But did they though?
Because
I don't think they actually hyped it all that much. I think we just kind of circle jerked.
They did talk a little bit how it was going to be a bit of a step up from previous world bosses, like harder than or as hard as Tequatl, and it's not that hard. I don't think it's nearly as hard, nowhere near as hard as Tequatl.
I to this day I stand by the fact that they didn't actually say that it was going to be as hard. I think we already went over this before, didn't we, Teapot? Actually pulling out the
quotes,
the quote and whatnot, and all they said was like, you're gonna need coordination for this, a la like the Tequatl fights and whatnot.
Yeah,
and which to a certain degree, I guess you do, because it is. I mean, it's the only event where you actually have to kind of coordinate with players not going in, everyone going into the same portal, but that's about the extent of it. Everything else is just kind of hit his foot and then jump over the wave.
That is true. And the coordination is not necessarily even important, right? Like the mechanic, right, where you have to go off into the portals and kind of not send everyone and leave some people behind. Even if you failed that, you probably won't run out of time, right? It will only slow you down.
Yeah.
Rather than punishing
I haven't actually seen what happens there. But the thing is, like the Raven timer or whatever, you get like a debuff when you enter the portal, and it's only there for like 4-5 minutes, I want to say, maybe even less. So technically, you can just wait it out and then enter later on with the rest of the squad. So you can't do like the same person can do all of the champions if your DPS is slow enough on the boss.
Yes, and and that's the thing. Like, mentioning DPS here, like I was kind of alluding to it not being very, very difficult, but I think that they actually tuned Drakkar to be as challenging DPS wise as they could get away with, maybe even quite aggressively so. I've seen
a beefy boy.
I've seen pug groups get, it's been close, sometimes. It has actually been a little bit close. I was surprised how much health he has, actually, just overall. And I think as the map becomes kind of yesterday's news, with a new episode, 2 episodes, 3 episodes down the line, I think you'll actually start to see Drakkar legitimately fail and maybe require some coordination. I think ArenaNet we're maybe actually a bit of 4D chess here to a certain extent, with how they've set this up, in that, right now it doesn't require coordination, but that's because anything in like a massive Omega blob is never going to require coordination, right? It's almost impossible to legitimately require that. Like, the only boss that's really done it is Triple Trouble, to require these massive groups of players to actually coordinate well. And they weren't going to go that far again because, oh my goodness, imagine the uproar about that. But yeah, so I think in a few months' time, or rather about half a year time, I think you'll actually start to see the map be a legitimate challenge to the community. I think I've been hearing reports from my community that they have already seen it fail a few times, and that sometimes the DPS is very, very close, right?
It's increasingly getting more and more. People are just coming out of the woodwork, so to speak, and talking about their horrible experiences now with only having 10 seconds left on the timer, or like barely even making it, or barely not making it. It's,
and that's only going to get
already
that's going to become
the first
more
weekend
extreme.
of the release. It's looking,
and that's going to get spicier rather than less spicy. That will get spicier as time goes on, because right now you've got, shall we say, slightly better player quality on average, right? That's only going to go down as time goes on into future episodes. Because I think what the big kind of hurdle for the map and for the world boss will be when a new map comes out, when episode 3 comes out. That could be quite scary. It might all of a sudden go from being pretty manageable to, this actually doesn't die anymore all the time, potentially. So, that it's worth noting to see how that develops later on. Because if you don't have some relatively decent players, like Drakkar, he's a spongy boy, right? He's a bit of a spongy boy, overall. But
big sponge.
I think.
But they did say that on the 11th, they're actually going to change stuff up.
Yes,
they're not only adding the weapons, they're also going to. They said they were going to add another mechanic that was planned beforehand, but didn't make the cut, so to speak, in time. Which is very interesting to me for a number of different reasons. Like, why didn't they finish it again? I don't understand it. If it was so close, or is this to like garner more hype for the same event later on, or like just a couple of weeks after the actual release? I don't know actually what the point is of changing it that close to its own release. But yeah,
I think that it's a bit of a similar story to the Bone Skinner, right? I think this is actually a little bit of ArenaNet's redemption arc to a certain extent, right?
But the Bone Skinner, they didn't add rewards that are already done, basically. It's a recolor.
But they changed the mechanic, right? They it used to be Torment.
They just changed
right?
numbers on the.
Well, they made it do Torment. They made it do Torment, and then now it does like a special modifier, right? Like a special thing. I'm talking about like the first rework to the Bone Skinner, when they reworked this mechanic to make it a lot more challenging. And now, I don't know what's happened to it now. Just as like a brief tangent, like, isn't it really, really weird right now? It just kind of destroys you.
Oh, it should be fixed now, but we jumped in on patch day because there's achievements for it, and it was practically impossible. You needed, because like we had like half a squad of pugs, and I forced them on Discord, and we actually had a good amount of fun trying to dodge everything, because what you needed to have was perfect movement coordination. Everyone had to be on the same point all the time. But the problem was the moment that his circle would fill in, the torment field would randomly spike to like do double the damage. So instead of taking 6k damage, you were taking 20k damage.
Ooh,
just boom, dead.
Nice.
Everyone was dead in like a second. Nothing to do. And yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
So two things were bugged. It was the tick, the aura tick, and the hands. So the grasping hands. You remember those, right?
Yeah.
Those only spawn when you get out of range. So when one player is out of range or somewhat a range, he will target everyone in the arena with the grasping hands, and then that stops when everyone's in melee. That's manageable. But the bug was that they had added it into its rotation, so the hands would spawn like every 10 seconds, and you would fill the arena with just these grasping hands everywhere. No one could move anywhere. No one could do anything. It was amazing. It was really fun. So yeah, you had to have perfect coordination, just like dodging stuff.
That may have actually been my fault to a certain extent, because I reported to ArenaNet that the hands mechanic wasn't working correctly, because I would always just melee it. So I thought like, oh, why isn't it spawning? Like, what's going on there?
Oh, you don't.
Yeah. Well, I thought that, like, this mechanic clearly isn't working properly, because I was like, dude, like sometimes it just doesn't spawn. What's going on there, right? But yeah, now I know why that's the case. So that might be my fault a little bit anyway. But yeah, that is, it's an interesting mechanic right there. I do think it should always proc though, to a certain extent. Like the fact that if you just cheese it, I think it just promotes cheesing it even more.
But that's kind of the thing. If it always procs, if it procs like it in a rotation, like it did on the start, you are asking players to have perfect coordination. We're talking above raid level coordination.
We'll maybe not have that much of a short cooldown then. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's quite a punishing mechanic, I think, and just being able to like, AFK melee stack is a little bit too a little bit too weak, I think, like this for a boss overall. But yeah, never mind that. Like when it comes to like this with the stuff with Drakkar and that sort of thing, don't you just kind of see it as ArenaNet finally iterating on previous design, being a bit more agile in their development cycle? Am I being a bit too glass half full here, or
I want to see it like that. I don't see it like that. Ooh. I think how I see it is they had an idea and they couldn't make the deadline.
Yeah.
And so they're adding it later on. That, or they want to garner more players to like more support for the release that is to come. So like longer retention time, so to speak. They want players to come back to Drakkar later on. So we get people running into Drakkar immediately, right at the start. Everyone's hyped about their new release, and then they add more rewards and they add more mechanics, and they change the fight slightly, and then get people hyped again. So it's like, yeah, more retention time.
Yeah, I think that's pretty big brain as well. I suppose, I guess it's a strategy. I guess I think that's fine too if they want to go in that direction and try and re-hype people. Like, if anything, that's kind of a smart plan. I would hope to see they would maybe even keep doing that potentially, right? I think one of the issues that I think Living Story has really struggled with is that in season there's not really a reason to go back to the old maps, right? Retention in general is a problem.
This is actually a big offender, this new map. Like, okay, right out the gate, I have to say, I guess I was really happy with this patch, but I am going to talk it down a little bit. I was really happy with it, but there's some sticking points with it, and one of them is replayability. Like this half of the map really suffers from replayability. Drakkar really does not give regular players any incentive beyond achievement points to engage with the fight at all. And even one of the achievements incentivizes players to not engage with the fight. You can literally just stand on a ledge. Wait. Nimble Onslaught is like you're asking players to not get hit 8 times through a 30-minute fight. Obviously, people are going to AFK.
Is hardcore,
obviously,
dude. That is hardcore.
Yeah, it is. It is, and there's a number of different ways that you can cheese it, obviously, and people have found those ways.
Yes.
But beyond that, beyond just the design, because the design of the fight is actually really, really cool. I just wish it kind of incentivizes people to engage with the fight more and incentivize people to come back for it. Because the reason why the event is failing right now, or borderline failing, is because the people that have done it once for just the experience of it, or a couple of times, or 20 times for the achievement, they're done. They're out. They have no reason to go back because there's no loot. Basically, you cannot get any better loot from Drakar than you can in the open world on your own time, just from the random chests across the map. You can literally not engage with any enemy, but just go around the map gathering chests and get more loot than you would fighting Drakar over a span of 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So the regular player just isn't incentivized to interact with the fight beyond achievement points.
This sort of thing has been a real trouble across the Icebrood saga in general. Like, don't you think with like the reward balancing of these maps is just bizarre, right? Like we've seen, well, I suppose it's mainly with Bureau Marches, right? Like the strike missions are not very rewarding at all, right? Aside once again from achievement points,
because they kind of changed it. And I don't know when they did it, but I think they did it here with this release. Now you can actually repeat them and get good loot.
Ooh, yeah, they're quite grindable, yeah.
But the issue is, and the loot that I'm talking about here is, you can get the armor pieces. Those appear in the bounty chest when you defeat any strike mission on any given day, or however many times you do it. But it turns into a situation of all or nothing. And you're way more likely to just get nothing. So it's either you get the big jackpot, you get an armor piece, which is like a really rare chance, or you just get absolutely fuck all. There's no in between. It's, yeah.
And that is a good, that is a really good, the changes they made to strikes are really good, right? They now rotate daily, right? So that's a lot better. There's more achievements to do, to go after there as well. And as you say, right, you can now, you can just keep going round and grinding them down. And getting some rewards. But yeah, as you say, like this, there's no like slow trickle whatsoever, right? It's like, oh, you're either going to get a bit, you're going to get that fat loot, or you're going to get absolutely nothing, and you're going to like it as well. You're going to enjoy that. And I think a lot of players are really not used to that kind of dynamic. This is quite a common thing in other games, I suppose, right? Like this kind of like real high roll RNG based loot system. But in Guild Wars 2, everyone's used to, you farm for 20 gold an hour, right? And you're going to get that 20 gold at the end of the hour, essentially, like if you play the game. So I think it is a little bit jarring for a lot of the player base here. And I don't know, it's a very different experience so far in the Icebrood Saga, because it looks like they are actively trying to rectify this stuff. We're witnessing it in real time, right? And it's very unusual for ArenaNet. Like, you don't usually see that at all, right? Usually it's like, if something's fucked, well, I've got some bad news for you. It's staying like that forever, right? And it won't really be addressed in future patches. But I don't know, it seems like they are doing that. And for whatever reason, I almost feel like, maybe this is foolish of me and a little naive, I almost feel like it doesn't even matter almost what the actual reason is. Like the outcome, I think, is desirable for us as the players, that they are looking to address these reward structures and make the game more repeatable for everyone, whether that's because effectively we're getting one episode in 2 parts, right? And we're almost witnessing the development process happening in real time, or if it's because they're just going like, oh yeah, okay, we did this, it didn't really work out, well, let's fix it, right? I think both of those things are perfectly acceptable and work out well for the player, I think. So I'm pretty happy about it with what's going on with the episodes, I guess, as well. So that's my
I just
take.
kind of wish the their affinity for RNG drops. I think that just kind of goes across the board for every game mode that they have. They have a really great system with like different tokens or currencies or whatnot. Like take fractals, raids, dungeons, anything, and you have these vendors that require tokens. And I just kind of want to see these tokens implemented elsewhere. Like 1 token for beating Drakar, maybe even just a decoration token. That's kind of just gone completely downhill. What if players just got 1 token for beating Drakar, and then you could build up. Let's say every weapon skin that comes out now, the yellow ones that are coming out for Drakar, every one of those would be like 10 or 20 tokens each. And then you could get lucky as well and get it from Drakar. But you had a way to work towards it, gradually work towards it. You can put the bar really high so it doesn't feel like you're just getting handed these weapons. But like 20 Drakar kills for one weapon, I feel like that's a lot of grind. But still fair for one of these weapons. And that would keep the map alive for a long, long time. Have people come to every single event for months. But they rely on these RNG things where people are, it's really just, it's all or nothing every time. And that turns off a lot of people because they just, like myself, I'm not lucky in games. Like I don't I don't ever get the precursor. I don't ever get the lucky roll of the dice. Whenever it comes to luck, I peace out. Like that basically doesn't exist to me. The loot is just like, it's out of my mind.
I think it's okay to have these RNG drops, as long as there's a level of baseline as well, right? Like Tequatl, you get some gold every day by doing. You get 2 gold, right, just by doing Tequatl. And Triple Trouble,
you get nothing.
Triple Trouble is similar, right? Like you're gonna get some gold for doing Triple Trouble. It's not actually that rewarding, I guess, but it's fun, and then you have those RNG drops layered onto that as well. And yeah, obviously your approach is also absolutely, very viable as well, right? Having a current system, so you kind of remove RNG, or if you like, you can even like imagine it's RNG, like, oh yeah, I got it on the 20th try, right?
But you don't have to remove RNG per se. Like you can still have the rare drop. You can still get people the opportunity to be lucky in the game. Like just have a really rare chance of getting the same drops as you can get, just like a raid boss. You can buy every skin in a raid, but you can also drop them from the specific boss.
Yeah,
make it the same thing for the open world bosses. It's a great system. It works for everyone involved. Whether you're lucky or unlucky, but it incentivizes so many more players to engage with it. I think why they're trying to do these RNG things is to keep retention high, but it accomplishes the opposite. That's just my experience.
Do you think that ArenaNet are moving away from it because they're very concerned about having too many currencies already in the game? Like for example,
that was very obvious. Like early on,
they didn't add another version of magic, right? There's no unbound magic for Icewind Saga, right?
Season 2 was kind of like I guess that must have been like when Bloodstone Fen came out. That must have been the moment when ArenaNet kind of realized that, oh shit, we're putting all our baskets into one currency. Let's make new currencies so we don't completely inflate gold. Let's make other stuff valuable. But then every single map that they came out with, they started adding more and more currency every single time, to the point where all of the stuff that they were adding kind of just exploded, and it got out of hand, and people were trying to, like, I myself included, just like trying to balance everything and make room for stuff for it to have potentially value down the line. And yeah, and then with season 5 here, or the saga, they just went back on all that and said, all right, or not all of it, but took the currency and didn't make it universally viable for anything. It's not really tradable in a great conversion rate, at least, into what's it called? Magic, volatile magic. It just, like, eternal ice shards are just bank fillers.
Yeah, I got over 2K.
They really are.
I got loads of them.
Yeah, mate, you can get, just from doing the chests in a day, you can get 2 stacks of them. Just from like running around getting the open world chests that you don't have to interact with. When you're actually doing events and whatnot, it completely explodes. It's so insane. It was one of the easiest materials to get before episode 2, and now they buffed the drop rate on all of the nodes and all of the chests, so you are absolutely flooded with it. And it costs, like, if you want to actually turn them into volatile magic, it's like 2,500 karma on top of it, which means either you're like you have fuck tons of karma to waste to actually make the rest of these viable, or you start just trashing them at some point. Like it will overflow for a lot of people. It really will.
Yeah, and that is quite unfortunate. But I don't know. I suppose I understand what they're trying to do, right? They want you to. I think they're looking to make content have slightly more specific rewards, because perhaps ArenaNet watches my stream and hears me complain about this all the time in Guild Wars 2, is that a lot of the time rewards feel so disconnected from the actual content itself because everything can convert into everything. And perhaps having it so you can't do that, you can't turn every currency into gold. You can't turn every currency into every other currency because gold is every other currency. Maybe that's actually their goal here, to make it so they really want to drive you onto these maps, engaging with specific content to generate specific rewards. And yes, that's in terms of quality of life. That's a step down.
There at least has to be more specific rewards. I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, but all of the recipes for the new weapons, they're really expensive." Yeah, but you can even if you try hard, you can get every single, like from scratch, from zero. You can get every single one of the new weapons in 6 days with the drop rate of and even with the limiter of itrite ingots. There has to be something that lasts longer than 6 days. Even if you're just going at bare minimum, it's like 2 weeks, and then you have everything. But there's just not really, I mean, more after that.
I think that
I know it's a good thing. Obviously, we can argue that it's a good thing that you can't convert everything into gold, and that just makes gold less inflated. But personally, I'd love to see gold get more stuff, or get more conversions, I guess, in this season, because we're just kind of setting it up for future failure, I guess. That's how I see it.
That's certainly the trouble. Like, one of the things that kind of promotes longevity in older maps is that it essentially is a gold farm as well, right? Like, once you're done with the rewards on this map, you're essentially done, right? Like, there is no reason for you to particularly engage with the content unless you just like the content, of course. And that's a legitimate problem, I think. But do people tend to engage with older content nearly as much anyway? I kind of feel like they don't.
No, but isn't that a shame?
I mean, it is a shame.
We could change that, I guess.
What would be the approach to change that? How do you keep like every map being worth doing every day? Like, do you just need to have some kind of like daily event that's very, very rewarding on each one, and you are supposed to like do every single map and engage with all of the content there in some way?
I mean, I guess that is the way, but that's kind of crazy in a sense. But yeah, that is the way. Like, how do you get people to do fractals and dungeons over and over again, or raids for that matter? It's by adding loot and like a weekly and daily thing that you can come back to. That's actually worth doing. Maybe we should add that for world bosses as well.
I think it's a very, very serious suggestion and approach. I think, because there is
if we had, because I'm just kind of trying to brainstorm here, but imagine if we had a weekly for all the different bosses that would actually give you swag loot, or like currencies of a specific caliber or something. Not necessarily just a daily, but yeah. Make it a weekly. That would actually be epic.
But because I think that it's a very legitimate suggestion. At the end of the day, there is so much content in Guild Wars 2 that essentially lies dead, right? Because it's old and it isn't efficient to farm it anymore. I think that's the problem with a lot of, I think, to be fair, this is not a Guild Wars 2 problem. I think this is an MMO problem in general. I think players will typically be drawn to the most rewarding content, right? And that especially when you have horizontal progression like Guild Wars 2, this essentially means that old content becomes obsolete very quickly. If there's a better farm, right, and you've already got all of the unique rewards and you're done with the achievements and stuff like that, then you are done with that map permanently, right? And you'll never have to go back there ever again. And
that's kind of how I feel about Bureau Marches right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's been 4 days.
I think Bureau Marches definitely suffers from that, right? Like even there are some of the Drakkar achievements that are a little bit lengthy. You got to do like 20. How many kills you got to do? Like 20 kills or something
20.
like that, which is a fair amount of kills. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not actually a lot. That suppose you did one a day, that's 20 days, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, you're probably doing more than that because you're a hardcore gamer.
Yeah, I kind of just didn't sleep. So I was done with.
But are you done?
Within 20. Yeah, I'm done.
You've done.
I was done with every achievement within what was that? 36 hours. Yeah.
I respect it. I respect that shit.
That was just kind of it. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I like the energy.
And I know I'm the oddball there. Most people won't have it done that quick, obviously. And I'm not trying to base my my assumptions off of my own insanity. But yeah, I do think that there is an argument to say, because like it won't be a month down the line and everyone else is going to feel the same as I do right now, I guess. Yeah. And that sucks for me.
Yeah, and I think the only way to rectify that is by stuff like some kind of daily achievements, which they kind of do, but the daily achievements are not that tangible, really. I suppose they're not.
Yeah, but like
super rewarding.
There's so many world bosses.
Yes,
that having a daily for everything, and even having a daily for all the cool ones, all the hardcore ones, would be too much. I'm really getting on board with this idea of having a weekly for the bosses. Like, have a weekly Tequatl, have a weekly Drakkar, and it actually gives you good loot or tokens towards a specific weapon set or something like that. Like, say just 5 a week, and you have this weekly to do, and then you obviously still have the daily or whatever. For all the different events as well, and for Drakkar that obviously needs to get tuned up a little bit. But yeah, I'm getting on board with this idea of a weekly boss thing.
No. I think it's a really good idea. A really good idea to have something like that. This is one of the problems that has always plagued Guild Wars 2's Living Story. The new version of Living Story. It's always been plagued by this. The lack of replayability, right, and the obsolescence of old content is a really, really big problem that I'm sure ArenaNet is trying to solve, and perhaps that's why we're seeing this slightly more iterative approach. Because at the end of the day, if they add more achievements to old strike missions, if they add, the idea, just strike missions in general, I think are really, really good because they're a daily thing that will eventually add up quite a lot. That's another topic entirely, right? But hey, maybe you do the strike mission, then you're on the map, so maybe you do Drakkar as well. You're having a good time, you're going crazy. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like making these events rewarding at a baseline and almost making like such that every single one of them would be worth doing every single day, and then letting the players choose which one they want to do, and then on top of that, having like a kind of a meta motivation, pushing people towards engaging with this stuff. Yeah, I think that would be really, really good. It would be ideal. In fact, and I think there's just having some gold about the place would be good, right? Like, look, why do people do fractal dailies? As you say, right? People do fractal dailies because it gives you like a shit ton of cash, right? No one does. No one's repeating regular fractals, right? No one's like, oh boy, well, except with some mild exceptions when it's a little bit exploity, right? But yeah, like no one's going like, oh boy, I can't wait to do that dredge fractal like 10 times today. Like, oh yeah, like this is amazing content. No, people look, they're claiming they do Rec 75 for fun, but they're not telling the truth. Okay,
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
But you just got to give people the good loot. You got to give people that big money, and they will do the content. And yeah, we do have some daily achievements in the open world, but they're nowhere near as rewarding as some of the Fractal dailies, right? Like, I don't know, and I think you could even extend this out to other stuff as well, right? Like having maybe some, like, do a raid boss every day or something like that, as a daily achievement.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see all that as well.
Do a strike mission as a daily or something like that. Or I believe that there kind of is
that was one for your marches. I mean, granted, the daily for that was kind of, negligible, and now it's gone. So whatever, I guess.
Oh, wait, is it gone?
Well, it's not gone, but ever since episode 2, they started putting it on a rotation with a lot of new. So I'm one of the few people. Let me start over. I'm one of the few people that actually find dailies in the living story maps to be rewarding because of the XP,
instant mastery,
XP boxes that you can get, right? So I religiously do a lot of these, but I try to stick to like doing the easiest ones, because otherwise you can easily get bogged down with some of the longer dailies, and they don't actually scale the loot that you get for doing a longer daily. Anyways, Bjara Marches had like 5. It was a rotation of 10 different achievements when episode 1 came out, and 5 of them were all right. They're pretty all right. Like, you could easily do them at your own time. You didn't have to wait for a timer or any event or whatnot that wasn't going to be available. But now with episode 2, they've kind of just changed it so that I think they doubled or maybe even tripled the amount of different dailies, and most of them are like mega event chains, or you got to wait and do 3 of these different events. And I just don't have time for that. Like, I'm not even interested in doing Bjorn March's dailies anyways, because there's such a big time investment for nothing. Like, it's 12,500 XP in the future. That's it. And like 1 eternal ice shard, which is just like
that is like pure garbage.
Out the ass of
that is
map.
That's actually just an insult. What the fuck? That's such a trash reward. Oh my god.
So you're getting nothing. There's no reason for you to really, even people who are interested, myself, in doing that kind of daily, is not interested in doing these, because they're just too much now. It's just too big of a time investment for nothing.
Yeah, for not the biggest deal in the world. It is nice to get the masteries immediately, right?
Definitely.
I'll tell you what. I would 100% be doing the dailies if there was going to be another raid mastery that I could insta unlock. That is probably pretty unlikely, though. I don't think they're going to go in that direction ever again. I did this back in the day. I did like hoard the boxes to instantly unlock the new raid mastery, because that's something that interests me, right? I want to have that new raid mastery. So yeah, like if they wanted to motivate me to do it, they know how as well. But yeah, like the dailies, that reward of having that bottled XP is actually a really, really huge deal. If you care about that sort of thing, right? To us, I was considering doing. I really was considering doing it, because what if we need the mastery for Drakkar? And it turns out that you actually did.
You did.
But
only one person needed to have it out of 50.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
So cares. Well, I mean, it's quite lucky too, though. Otherwise, it would have been a little bit tricky to do it the first time round. Anyway, world's first, boys, easy. Mastery gods, mastery gamers. But yeah, that was a good one. So yeah, and it's but certainly these things should be a lot more kind of like financially rewarding in the game, I suppose, because right now, as you say, they're really not, and there's not really an efficient way to convert. Like you can do it, right? Like you can get season 4 currencies from the ice shards, can't you? Right, with the NPC, you can convert if you.
Oh yeah, you can,
and then get gold.
I think it's like 25 eternal ice shards and 25 or 2600 karma for 10 of the season 4 currency. So you can, but like if you want to convert, like say you're 2000, you're gonna like drop a fuck ton of karma for that.
Yeah, it's expensive karma for sure. Oh yeah, and they increased the
75
price.
shards. Sorry, 75 shards. That's even more.
Yeah. So they changed actually. This was really a big feels bad, man, for a lot of people actually. A lot of people. I'm surprised that ArenaNet didn't get more flack for this actually. because they effectively devalued everyone's ice shards with this new patch coming out. Like, if you'd farmed up loads of them, well, I've got some bad news for you, right? Like, they're worth way less now if you wanted to cash out. Because they greatly increase the prices. So you can do it if you want, but and again, like, this is a lot of steps you have to go through, which most players probably aren't going to do. And it's not even the best conversion in the world there as well. So you do find yourself thinking, like, why would you do the map if you're not, you know, just having fun and going for achievements? And look, that's good enough for me, but that isn't good enough for most players, right? Like, most players want to be rewarded for their time, right? You know,
it's kind of, as I've said it before, it's like it's fun to a certain extent. Like, it's fun the first 10 times, maybe. It's the same with this map and raid bosses and whatnot. It's fun, and then after that, most people will start doing it, will continue to do things for a profit or other reasons, or they'll just not do it. Like, if the other alternative, or if the other incentive isn't there, then they'll just not do it. And that's what I fear will happen with your marches, is that people will just peace out with Drakkar and whatnot. If it's all just RNG and eternal ice shards, then yeah.
And that doesn't really bode well for the future of the map when other maps come out.
No,
at all, because you kind of need quite a lot of people to do it. Like, you know what, the big thing actually, right? About the, you know, that map is that the bosses actually have quite a lot of health, right? Like the ice guy as well, like the ice brood construct. He's got a lot of HP when he's walking towards you, and so does Drakkar. And obviously that is mostly because most, you know, people don't do very much DPS, right? There is not a lot of damage going on there, so it might actually get easier when the map is less populated in a way, because you'll have, you know, it won't be as scaled, and you'll have less people in minstrel gear, like auto attacking, I suppose. So there is that, I suppose, to watch out for. But I don't know, it would be a real shame. It would be a real shame to see Drakkar abandoned, because it's such a good encounter. It's such an enjoyable encounter, which is why I'm very happy that they're buffing the rewards, right? Like, there's going to be Ascended. Look, I think Ascended is big. Surely Ascended means that people will do it forever. Am I wrong there? Like, Ascended gear, like, potential drop, that's big.
People are still doing Dragonfall and TeaTime, so I guess you're right there. Yeah.
See, that is fact.
It is a carrot for a lot of people. It's not one for me, but it is for a lot of people.
Well, to be fair, you have legendary armor and weapons and sigils
but I mean,
on every character.
Skin. I don't have a single TeaTime skin. Like, it basically doesn't exist in my mind because it's pure RNG. I don't care because it's pure RNG.
Dude, that's really interesting.
It holds no value to me and no interest in me spending a moment every day to try and get something that's only RNG. I can't be fucked.
Okay.
And the same will happen with these yellow weapons. If it's purely RNG, I know they said on guild chat, and some people in chat are going to correct me here, obviously. So I'll preface this and say, obviously they said on guild chat that it's not just going to be super hard grind to farm. It's going to be easier, but that's about the extent of what they said. And I'm sorry, but I want to take them at their word and obviously assume that, yeah, it's not just gonna be crazy hard RNG, but I mean, the track record doesn't really show it. Every time something's been added, it's been that kind of crazy RNG, and I'm not interested. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to see it though on the 11th. Yeah.
Yeah,
if it happens, cool. If it's actually easier to get, cool. But if it's just RNG and it's easier, I still won't give a shit.
Wow, and that's big. That's big. I mean, I didn't see that one coming. Actually, I've always never really minded too much. But then I guess I'm not super focused on the rewards. You know, I used to do Triple Trouble and TeaTime every day religiously, right? That's because I kind of liked it. It was like, oh, dude, you know, I'm killing my dragon. Feels good, man. I'm killing these worms. This is insane. This is big gaming. These are worms all over the place, dude. It's good stuff. So I suppose that's why. But yeah, I can certainly understand being really turned off by RNG. It can be very frustrating, I think, because you know, every single time you're going to be confronted by the fact that some motherfucker got it first try, and you've been like grinding for like days,
for months,
and you haven't
without
got
even
it right.
seeing anything.
It's like, yeah, that is unfortunate.
I mean, I did TeaTime for the longest time when it came out. For the longest time, religiously, every single day for months, I do not have a weapon to show for it.
Wow.
And ever since then,
Dude,
I was
that
just
is
like, all right,
that is
all right,
unlucky.
yeah, fuck.
That's so unlucky because I mean, I don't know how long I did it for, but it was probably over a year, to be honest. It was a long time, but
Shit.
I have all the triple trouble shit unlocked, all of it.
Damn.
And I have like 6 Taekwondo weapons, I think. I mean, I guess I'm pretty lucky, but yeah, I've got loads of these skins, and I haven't got all of them, to be fair. But yeah, I guess I'm somewhat lucky, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, token systems, as you say, are kind of the solution to this quandary.
I like tokens. It's the same with like it was the same issue that a lot of people. I'm not a big fan of Black Line chests anyways, but a lot of people had that same complaint. It was pure RNG, and so they added the statuettes as like a token. It's a great system. It works for every party, even no matter how many hours you put into something or however many chests you open, you'll still get something to show for it in the end. It's a great compensation, but when it's pure RNG, it's just super demotivating.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that's definitely definitely a fair criticism. And as you say, you can even have both, right? You can still have the excitement, right, of having that RNG drop that hooks you up, but also even if if you get unlucky, eventually you can you're gonna get there in the end, no matter what, right? So you can accumulate all of that stuff there.
And now that we're on the topic as well of tokens and whatnot. The strike missions kind of suffer from the same issue as all of these open world bosses.
Dudes, they've got to fix this. Seriously, I would love to just have the conversation actually with ArenaNet about this, because I feel like I'm missing something. Why are they so unrewarding? Right?
They're incredibly unrewarding.
What's going on there? I don't get it. Am I just a Papega and I'm not understanding like ArenaNet's level of mega galaxy brain or something? I mean, I don't know. It's
me neither, man. Yeah. Like I guess what they want is to not create any kind of toxic elements in it. So no tokens to show for.
No kill proof.
no guild decoration tokens. So we're not getting any prestigious guild hall stuff. Because there's no decoration tokens. We're not getting any cool loot because you can't have tokens associated with it, because that like you can't have skins associated with it purely because that also creates some kind of kill proof. But what happens when the strike mission is actually somewhat challenging? Well, we get the Whisper of Jormak, where people actually start asking for LI on a daily basis.
I see
it's
this.
Fucking legendary insight.
It's such a meme. Oh my god!
Because ArenaNet will not add anything to gauge player competence in strike missions, so we have to go outside the strike missions.
Fucking raids. Good.
It's so insane. It like you couldn't write better comedy.
It's actually such a huge meme. It's a really Omega meme. It's quite funny actually. I have to say, it does entertain me.
I found that hilarious. The Whisper of Jormak, absolutely amazing. I can only like that fight.
Oh yeah.
I can only give big claps for that performance. Holy shit! It is a really great fight. It's engaging. It's got mechanics. It's borderline Arc feeling to me in the Fractal boss. There's just like mechanics happening all over the place. There's AoEs happening all over the place. There's balls flying around towards the near end. You've got CC. You've got all the different things that teaches you how to play a good boss encounter. A really engaging boss encounter.
I did not see it coming either. I thought I thought after the Bone Skinner they were going to really tone it down and make it a bit easier. But damn, they actually come out of nowhere and like slam people, right? With something that's like a legitimate like raiding counter. It's like if the mechanics are a little bit more punishing, a little bit more damaging, like you've nearly got a raiding counter right there.
It's such a good fight.
It's very good fight.
I just kind of wish I had more of an incentive to do it on a daily basis. But because I'm not interested. Like I'll do it here and there when there's like a cool group. I'll jump in. I'm feeling like it over the week. That's what I've been doing. But I'm not really interested in kind of grinding it or doing it every day because the loot that I get from it is the same as I get in the open world from just not even engaging with anything other than the chests in the open world.
Yeah, I do.
It's so inequitable.
I really enjoy
It's
it, and I'm doing it. I just do it all the time, just like pug it and see what happens. See if it tends to go pretty well actually. Like I haven't really seen it fail that often, which is kind of weird. I expected it to fail quite a lot, but it's not that bad. I think people have kind of got their heads around it a fair bit actually, which is pleasing. But then again, eventually I'm gonna get in the hell group, dude. That just can't.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the hell groups.
Yeah,
I've been there, man.
There can be.
I had one guy. I joined a group. This was amazing. He said, "I'll pay 10 gold if we actually defeat this."
Ooh.
And they'd been on it for like 10 or 20 times, and they hadn't gotten anything. And I joined, and I can see on the DPS meter, obviously, why we weren't succeeding. Because literally everyone was dealing no damage. I was at like 18k with just my own boons, and everyone else was at like 5k below. The fight took forever, but we did it. He never sent me my 10 gold though. He got mail capped. It was annoying.
Wow,
I can't send anymore.
That's a big expose.
Sorry, guys.
That
and then he left.
Is a big expose right there. And I don't think this is a problem. Like Nike is saying that this is a problem with difficulty settings and like reward tiers. I don't think so. I just think that it's incredibly badly designed. Well, not badly. It's not badly designed. It's just like really, really bad implementation, right? So when it comes to like the reward structure of like the bronze, silver, and gold meme, like the gold is actually tuned quite tight, right?
Yeah.
You cannot mess around. Like legitimately, you have to actually be quite solid players to get the job done. But you don't get anything, right? And I think this is kind of ArenaNet's. They really don't like to separate players in any way, right? They don't like to say, oh yeah, you're better than this player, so you get like a really big cookie. They're like saying, oh yeah, you're better than this other player. So well, yeah, you beat the timer. Good job, right? You beat the timer. Well done. It's like, oh, okay.
Imagine if it was just an increasing amount of gold per chest. So let's say it's bronze chest, you get 1 gold. I know this won't happen, but let's assume. Just for the sake of argument. So bronze chest, you get 1 gold, silver, you get 2, and then gold, you get 3. Immediately, people are going to discriminate heavily in every single LFG. And I think that's what ArenaNet is afraid of. Because everyone is going to go for that gold reward. And if they don't get it on the first try, they're going to be pissy. And so the next time they go in, they'll discriminate even more and start asking for kill proof, start asking for LI, start making sure that they get that gold reward, which locks out the players that might need the practice on strike missions from actually entering strike missions.
Why is this not a problem in other MMOs? Because other MMOs have very similar systems to what we're describing here, like typically vertical progression games, right? Vertical progression games have
nobody in ArenaNet actually, or in ArenaNet, wow, nobody in Guild Wars 2 actually looks up to the players that can play the game. There's no aspirational aspect of their playtime. They just want gold. They do not want to better themselves. That's why. When you see a wall like that, when you see a limiter, like say the hypothetical scenario that I just put up with strike missions, when you see that limiter of players asking for you to perform, and your first thought is to call them toxic and avoid them at all costs, then I don't know what to say, man. But I don't think that there's any salvation for that attitude. Not just like easily, at least. It's something that has to come from themselves, and that's just not. It's not happening. People would rather just go into the open world with their shitty build and be anonymous, not be watched over by any DPS meter in their group, not having to deal with anyone asking for them to perform, not getting discriminated towards by toxic players. That's what people want to do in Guild Wars. And that's why we find ourselves in the situation where you cannot. You cannot put a limiter in as ArenaNet. Otherwise, everyone gets mad.
Does the community genuinely like, really dislike the idea of performance rewarding you? Is that like a really big issue, do you think?
I would wager to say yeah.
But because, you know, this is kind of what it essentially boils down to, right? Like, because, in like the ideal world, right? Like, you would play the game mode appropriate to, you play the difficulty appropriate to your skill level, right? And then be awarded accordingly. And then eventually you would attempt to get better at the game and end up playing a higher difficulty and therefore obtaining more rewards in the game as well.
You think that, but in a purely rewards driven mentality of the majority of the player base in Guild Wars 2, it's not about getting increasingly better loot. It's about getting the big slice of the pie at the very start and then moving on to the next thing. It's not about improvement, man. It really never is. And that's the biggest issue with stuff like this.
Yeah. I think this is you kind of hit the nail on the head there, right? Like it's all about getting the reward and not really about the game itself. Like I'm pretty sure that a lot of people wouldn't really be that bothered if they actually just had a bot that would, if like ArenaNet legalized bots, I think a lot of people would probably just like get a bot and then like the bot obtains the rewards for them.
AFK heroes.
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
Play Raid Shadow Legends. Right. It practically plays itself. Like most downloaded game.
But yeah, I mean seriously though, right? Like people love that shit. Like people love these AFK games, you know, the ones that just like the incremental types, right? That just go up. Like, and you see bigger and bigger numbers, right? Like people love that shit. You know, it's good, and I guess they want Guild Wars 2 to be one of those as well. Yeah. I mean, wow. That is a spicy meme.
There's a great comment actually in Ithamir in chat here that says, "Look at the casual. You have to look at it from the casual perspective. They always get gold rewards from the open world events and bosses. Getting anything less feels bad in comparison." And it's actually kind of funny because I saw a lot of the achievements. So there's like, I think it's like 5, 6, or 7 different types of events that you have to do for achievement points on this new release, where it's get gold on 20 of these kinds of events, right? So you have to do like 160 events and get gold on each of them. But getting gold in Guild Wars 2 means you killed an enemy in the event. That's it. Maybe not even that. You have to do just one. You have to participate in one of the actions involved in the event. So chop down one tree, bring one fish in. That's it. That's getting gold. That's participation at the max level. You're rewarded instantaneously. You are not rewarded for actually tryharding the rest of the event. You might as well just bring in one fish and then piss off to the next event. You'll get just as much. And you'll probably get it faster, actually, by that logic. Because you're off to the next event, getting gold there as well. Huh. It's such a... Like, gold events in this game, like, rewards and maximum reward tiers are just handed out left, right, and center in the open world. Bronze is not something that happens. Bronze is something that happens
quite hard to get.
Accidentally hit an enemy on the way to something else.
It's a weird one.
Like, oh, what happened here? I didn't even know I interacted with this event. That's bronze. That's maybe even silver.
I mean, these are like really, really cool systems. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like the event participation system it's guaranteed to make sure that pretty much everyone gets gold, right? Like it is quite difficult to not get that. So I mean, maybe a lot of the
and when the system brings you up like that, you're going to expect minimum participation to reward you the highest tier every single time, in every game mode.
Yes, and I think that's certainly an attitude within the community. Right, like I think people expect to be able to get maximum rewards and to have nothing held back at all, right? In every game mode, right? Which is, I wonder if this is why fractal leaderboards were never a thing. I wonder if this is why PvP leaderboards didn't get added until very late into the game.
PvP leaderboards are not added, and PvP ELO is not added because people cannot stand seeing how they actually perform.
Exactly, like, right? Yeah.
Proper skill rating cannot be implemented because people's egos cannot take it. It's true. It's so true. That's why you never see a really great ranking system in any game. There's always something held back, and that's because you keep player retention higher when you fool them into believing that they are better than they are. It's so true. That's why leaderboards do not work across the board. They are flawed by design. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben.
Well, wait, what's wrong with the Guild Wars 2 PvP leaderboard? Actually, just out of interest, like, what's wrong with it? What?
I don't know the intricacies of it.
Isn't it like very standard? I feel like it pretty accurately represents.
Yeah.
I mean,
it seems it seems very.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Guild Wars 2 leaderboard. Yeah, you can get ratings being a bit weird because of population, right? So you might have some like really, really good players who are a little bit underrated in a way, but to be honest, like, you know, I think you can probably get away with thinking you're a little bit better than you actually are in Guild Wars 2, like, because even if you don't really do anything, you'll probably win quite a lot of games anyway because no one else does anything either in Guild Wars 2. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, dude, I feel like that is actually that's like in every game though, dude. I mean, think of like how bad the average player is at almost everything, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I love this. To keep players interested, EA actually patented a system.
Oh my God. There are games that do a lot more PvP to do stuff like force wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big, dude. Yeah, that's good. That's some big content right there, you know?
I mean, yeah. And imagine if that was for PvE. You actually get people or gauge people's power levels, skill levels in the game. People will not like what they see. I want to roleplay as being a good player. I don't want to be a good player. I just want to roleplay as a good player.
Oh, yeah.
You feel me?
That's good. Yeah, you know.
That's how I feel like a lot of players do. They run around looking amazing on with their legendary armor or whatnot, trying to look cool, but actually really bad. And they got carried, or they bought their raid kills or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You just pay to win. I mean, that's why pay to win games are popular, right? You can become a good player by putting in some money.
You can be the god.
Yeah.
The god commander that glows gold out of his ass.
The god gamer.
Easily.
Dude, seriously.
Drop your credit card on the desk.
This is why I seriously think, dude, like, people were simply not ready for Guild Wars 2. There's no vertical progression, so you can't just cheese stuff 3 months later. Right, the game is like very skill based, dude. People weren't ready. Like, I don't know. The gaming community was simply not prepared for Guild Wars 2, and it still isn't. Right, you know, it still isn't. People want to be able to be able to like go around and one shot stuff, right? With the best in slot, like, you know, 3 expansions down the line gear. You know, it's some big memes.
I love the insights here from Ben. It was found that people get too bored if you win too much or too little. So other games make sure you don't get long streaks. We don't do this in Guild Wars 2, contrary to conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
I mean, sometimes you just get
in the open world. It does. It is though.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why.
Which is why I find that boring.
Yeah. Oh, this is why it's kind of the same psychology here, right? With open world, like, I feel like Guild Wars 2 feels so there's no engagement in a lot of open world content because you can't even possibly fail, right? You know, this is something that I really butted head with a lot of people over New World. Actually, they were saying that, oh, like, how could you possibly advocate for a full loot system, right? There's no way you could ever enjoy that, and, like, you know, you just want to take people's stuff. It's like, no, it's like the possibility that you could fail and lose something is exciting, right? And I think that's what Guild Wars 2 really lacks. Risk. There is absolutely no way you can lose open world. And this is why I love Triple Trouble, because believe me, look, I have done the amber worm, right? You've got to get eaten by the worm. I have actually seen that fail with 50 people on that worm, dude. Holy shit. Like that is insane. Like that is a spooky worm, right? That is a scary, scary worm right there. That's why it's a really, really good event, right? Because you can actually lose, you know?
That's why we hold them in such high regard. It's because
Yeah.
there is risk to it.
Yeah.
People have to perform or else everyone loses. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that system.
It's
And we
great.
just haven't seen that in so long. Now, I guess, with Drakkar, when people don't perform, we don't get the mediocre loot anyway. So,
It's good.
yeah.
It's big. EA made 1 billion last quarter just from microtransactions. Not surprising at all. That's good, you know. I like that. But okay, so I suppose to move on a little bit, actually, you know, there's something really interesting that happened because I suppose we have to call ourselves out here a little bit. We had a debate, I suppose, on stream talking about some stuff about Guild Wars 2, and Fractals came up. And there is news.
Weren't they supposed to be talking about that on Thursday?
No, I think that was my guess, but it's probably going to be this Tuesday, I guess, when they're actually going to talk about that, right?
Maybe. I thought the article itself said stay tuned Thursday.
Didn't it just say next?
Am I wrong here?
Didn't it just say like the next couple of days?
Is this complete fabrication in my mind? Chat, help me. Maybe it's just the next week. Yeah, but yeah, Fractals are coming back.
Do you think Fractals are actually coming back, or
no? I think they are unironically going to say we have the next step, the next evolution of what Fractals can be, visions of the past. I genuinely believe that's what they're going to say. I don't think they're actually going to be talking about Fractals. I think they're more likely to say Fractals are dead. We're moving on to something else Fractal-like. I prove me wrong, ArenaNet. I'd love to see that. I would actually love to see that. But it's just been so far on the back burner for so long that, I mean, I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't believe Fractals are coming.
I think I'm inclined to agree with you there. You know what they might do? I think they might try and soften the blow by maybe doing some reworks to Satan's stabilities, because I know some people are still quite unhappy with those, and maybe tweaking some of the fractals. But I think that they are definitely going to go in a new direction here, and kind of utilize the visions of the past to expand upon these events that happened previously, right? Which was, you know, previously fractals. And this is something that you pointed out actually before the stream. This is almost certainly coming in episode 3, right? Because at the end of it,
or maybe even before,
yeah, or maybe even before, because you can do the honors actually because of something that happened right at the end of episode 2. Actually, by the way, guys, it's in the fucking title. Just saying, mega spoilers. I'm warning you guys. You've been warned, right? It's in the title. We just said it on the stream. The spoilers coming through right now. You haven't played the episode, for a start, what are you doing? But also, we're gonna spoil it right now. So there you go. Warning is over. All right, yeah. So tell us, like, where's the setup for the Visions of the Past? What's going on there?
Right at the end of the episode, we are kind of whisked away, like just out of nowhere. We're flown to the Eye of the North by Aurene. We're kind of teleported there, which is an old, like, a mega important place in Guild Wars 1 that has a scrying pool. And the wording for Visions of the Past is that we are going to be scrying into the past to view these events unfold for Ryland. So I actually kind of foresee that on the 11th we might see something towards that already. And then maybe we get the Visions of the Past released just slightly later. But on the 11th, they're going to add even more conversations with Aurene in the instance. So they actually said, oh, yeah, you should probably go and play that again when we release it, because she's going to be talking about the mists. And yeah, we're definitely going to be probably seeing the Eye of the North be the new hub for Visions of the Past. And I mean, that's just a new fractal lobby, I guess, but in the north.
Yeah. it's definitely very elegant, right?
Yeah.
It's been integrated into the story there as well. Now, the one question I would have is well, actually, no, I guess no. That how is this going to work with actually getting there? Because it's going to have to not be attached to any specific episode, right? Because
Yeah, I guess that's why they're completely detaching it, like putting it in Eye of the North, which is its own mini map. It's like you can easily turn that into a VIP zone. Let's say they just turn it into a VIP zone in a sense, and they turn it into maybe a home instance kind of thing. And there's an open world portal, and you can probably do an achievement to get an instant teleporter to it or something like that. There's so many different ways that they can just completely cut this off from everything else. Granted, though, I do have my suspicions that the final battle against Jormag is actually going to be taking place at the Eye of the North. Rewind. Let's rewind just for a second to the trailer for the Icefruit Saga, where the final battle, or the big battle against Jormag, where all the creatures of the night
on a flat
walk
sheet
out.
of ice, right?
Yeah, but it's on a flat sheet of ice, but the building in the background of the heroes, that's the Eye of the North. And now we know that that's Oreen's resting place. Jormag is going to come for Oreen, or something's going to come for Oreen, and the final battle is going to be at the Eye of the North. I kind of predict that to be just, I mean, more or less a guarantee, but maybe I'm wrong. I can easily be wrong.
I think that's an epic way to have it, but let me ask you this, though. Would you say that the Eye of the North could be under siege, under lockdown, even, maybe?
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds, I don't know, wow. Sounds high energy. I like to see a big epic final confrontation. I mean, that's why we got Deroir here, guys, for those big brain lore takes there as well. Some of this stuff, I just go like, oh wow, look, that's a really long necked dragon. I'm not looking at this stuff. Like, oh wow,
really long.
Yeah, she's got a long ass neck. It's impressive. It's a good neck right there. I think that this kind of segues quite nicely into the story in general, actually, throughout that.
Actually, wait, before you segue off, sorry, but there's one more thing that we were also talking about just before we went live here. Apropos the Eye of the North, I have this sneaking suspicion. And I have to voice it. I'm not saying that I believe it necessarily, but I have this sneaking suspicion that the Eye of the North is actually going to potentially turn into what the Eye of the North was in Guild Wars 1, a Hall of Heroes. And bear with me here. The setup for that is going to be what they're already trying to set up with Jormag. It's that there is something bigger than the Elder Dragons that we have to worry about. So for those of you who have been paying attention to the story, or at least slightly, Jormag kind of says or insinuates that we should be working together against something bigger, like as if Jormag is afraid of what is to come. And what we don't know if she's just talking out her ass, or if there's actually something to it. But maybe, just maybe, that's the setup for Guild Wars 3. Boys.
and
that's my crackpot theory of the day. Boom.
I mean, just out of interest, like what could there possibly be? Is there any lore surrounding something potentially external to Tyria, like the planet? I guess, because I mean, like, do you at that point do you have to
literally do anything?
Do you not literally have to go to space at that point? I mean, or the mists or something like that, maybe. I mean,
well, we've been doing that all along. I mean, that's basically it. We could easily go to a new planet. Guild Wars 3,
new planet,
new planet. I mean, yeah.
Burning Crusade,
the whole setup for like the lore and all the powerful entities of Guild Wars, the Guild Wars universe, is that they're just entities out in the mist that have accumulated a lot of magic. And you could literally just make Cthulhu appear out of nowhere because it's been lurking in the mists. I mean, you can do anything with the Mist. They have the perfect escape to do whatever the fuck they want with a potential sequel to this game. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, by the way, guys. It's a crackpot theory for a reason.
Deroir has
But
leaks.
I just
He's
wanted to
losing
voice it.
ArenaNet partner now. He leaked that on
I
stream.
just-
That is
I just
a
wanted to voice it.
massive leak, guys. Huge leaks there. That is, oh wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's big stuff, guys. That is massive right there.
I know,
you
right?
got to say, you know, that
I know,
is
right?
some very big information's coming out there.
Last little weird, I guess now that we're already on the topic of crackpot theories, but there is actually, this is not to do with story, but more like visions of the past or whatever is to come in the future. There is actually currently 5 placeholder things in the game. One of them is a currency, and the 4 others is placeholder guild decoration slots under trophies. Do you know what that means, Teapot?
Wait, what does that mean?
That's raid. That's raid the statues.
Oh my god.
There's four unused what are they called? Trophy slots that just have the placeholder thing. And there is a placeholder currency. I don't know, man.
Shit.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I think I've certainly always been expecting another raid. I said on stream, and I will repeat it here. I'm 60% sure they're adding a new raid, right? Like I would definitely bet in favor rather than against, but I'm not 100% on it.
Which is why I put it under the category of crackpot theory.
Yeah, I definitely think that we are going to see another raid, because I'm pretty sure they were already kind of in deep, right? You know, for a while now, like with the way they develop stuff. You know, Bobby Stein was talking about like new stories they could tell in raids, but like all of that could easily be folded into even stuff like strike missions or just like the baseline story, right? Like it's not like anything necessarily has to be a raid, right? Like you could nerf a raid boss to make it an open world boss or make it a story boss or all that sort of thing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily even mean anything really with all this stuff, you know. But I would love that. I would love to see more raid content.
I find it kind of interesting that you are so much on the fence, given how you were the one that talked with Bobby.
But because
on stream, I guess, about exactly this.
Because I know that I talked with him about this, and yeah, it certainly sounded like that he's looking to do and make raid content. But I know how stuff goes in game dev, right? Like I mean, things.
I know exactly
the best laid plans, right? Like yeah, you know, I don't think that developers are often being dishonest, right? I don't think Bobby was you know kind of, you know, taking us for a ride. Quite the opposite. I think everything he said was completely legitimate, but like sometimes plans change, like things get reworked and altered, right? Because oh yeah, this, you know, this isn't going to work, right? Like, you know, we don't have the resources for this, right? It's the same thing with say Swiss tournaments and World versus World alliances. Was ArenaNet like kind of messing us around when they said, oh yeah, you know, Swiss tournaments, no problem, okay, easy peasy? Of course not, right? But like, you know, there are ups and downs, there are bumps in game dev, right? It's the same with alliances. It's the same with fractal leaderboards. You know, there are problems that are encountered in the development cycle, and that's why I'm so on the fence, because I really don't want to say, I don't really want to say that, oh yeah, 100% raids are coming, because I mean, this is just how it goes, you know, like, you know, sometimes you get the raids, and sometimes you just, you know, you get one raid a year, or maybe no more raids ever again. And I think the advent of strike missions, and honestly, this strike mission, the new strike mission, really made me wobble on raids a little bit. It's like, oh, hang on, this is getting a little bit, there's a bit of overlap here, isn't there? And that does make me nervous, because like if you have overlapping systems, then one of them's going to end up redundant, right? In some way there. And to be honest, it would be raids. Like strike missions would absolutely obsolete raids if one of them had to take precedent. ArenaNet would obviously go with strikes. So you know, you are looking at a boss like the Jormag one, the recent one, Whisper of Jormag. I just kind of think that could have easily been a raid boss, right?
Easily.
You know, that could have been a raid boss very easily. And it's kind
The
of
alternative theory to this, because I know raids are kind of a controversial thing, because maybe it's not coming. Maybe it is. But I think the more likely thing for these placeholder things is for it to be attached to Visions of the Past. That's the more likely idea. And I would actually be kind of happy about that, because that would mean they would add an actual longevity to the reward system of Visions of the Past if they added a currency and they added decorations, for example. Some kind of token system for that. I would like that, and that actually gives me hope for Visions of the Past. But then again, we don't know what Visions of the Past is. So.
And well, I think we'll probably find out about Visions of the Past this coming week. Actually, I think it will be. I think they'll talk about it simultaneously with Fractals, because I think they are essentially going to be linked in thematic
I think
elements
so
there as well. I mean, do you think that they would add Visions of the Past outside of Living Story, or is it going to be something that gets packaged along with the episode?
I think they would. I think they would, like the way that they phrased it and the way that they're kind of going about things now. They want something happening every month, like players to come back to every month. And the next episode is not going to come out for another 2 months at least, right? At the very least, 2 or 3 months. So what's in between? What do we have? We have the balance patch that's coming at the end of February. Is that considered content by ArenaNet? I don't know. And then we have the wall claw changes, and then we have Visions of the Past. But there's no festival incoming. There's nothing really happening. So unless they pull out a special event, then we don't really have anything other than Visions of the Past happening for all of March at least. But I don't know. I could definitely see a new or the Visions of the Past being released separately. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Could be, every, because they do want to have this cadence where they have one thing per month, right? That's engaging to the player base and exciting to the player base. So it is certainly a possibility that we see it dropped in on its own, I suppose, as it were. Which I don't know. I do think that sort of thing is good. With a game like Guild Wars 2, you definitely want to have people logging in frequently. If you bundle everything together and you do like the triple release meme, then for a start it's kind of like, I want to do the fractal, but I also want to do the raid, so it's a little bit frustrating for players in that way as well. But also it means you have to wait a long time, and the content doesn't feel as spread out, right? Like, you burn through it all in one go, and now you've got to wait 4 months, right, before you get to the next release. So kind of a more granular approach, I think, is a really good way. It's a good way to do it, I think. It keeps more people happy with that sort of thing as well there. But yeah, Visions of the Past will be bonus mission pack, buy to play DLC, easy cash.
I wouldn't actually be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
They would never.
I've been expecting that to happen for so long.
ArenaNet will never sell you content for money. That's the one thing they'll... You know what, dude? That's the one thing they'll never put in the gem store. Yeah, no, not anymore. They did that. They will not do it, because you know what the annoying thing is, guys? I am going to get triggered, Deroir, right now. This infuriates me. The fact that this is true actually makes me upset, and now I'm mad. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. The agonizing irony of this is that players would find it unacceptable to sell actual content for money, right? Like, that's the only thing people wouldn't tolerate, is actually selling content for money.
But there's a big asterisk to that. But I think that comes off of the back of everything else already being sold.
That's true.
Right? So it's basically taking the last thing that is getting implemented into the game and then monetizing that. And I can kind of see it from that perspective. Like, if you got the skins as rewards and all of the stuff, all the shit that went at the gem store, if you got that through playing the game, then paying for content wouldn't look so bad. But if it's the last thing, the last vestige of hope that keeps people going, I can kind of imagine why that would sour a lot of minds.
I guess that makes sense. I'll allow it, but I guess it is. I don't know. I guess that it is what it's come to, right? Like industry wise,
I'm not saying it's the right thing. Yeah.
It's all about that
yeah.
MTX and ArenaNet have always been this like, oh yeah, the game is free, whoa yeah, go play our game, and buy a nice mount skin in the gem store there as well. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, get yourself a Pegasus.
Yeah, get yourself a Pegasus. You know what? Right, and speaking of that, this is really, really relevant, and this is important to the episode release. I am actually, guys, are you ready?
Getting the Pegasus.
I am going to expose the Guild Wars 2 community right now. I am actually going to expose the community. Oh my god. I am going to annihilate Reddit in debate right now, dude. Okay, oh, this is big. This is fucking big. Okay, you know why? There was no threads about the story, and everyone was like obsessed with the Pegasus instead of the actual episode release. Okay, do you know why? Because people actually were happy with the episode, I think, and therefore didn't complain about it. So instead of complaining about the episode, they needed to shit on the fucking Pegasus. Right? That is real. That is actually real, guys. And no one made a thread was like, oh yeah, dude. This episode was real good. Like, no one made a thread like that because, dude, that shit doesn't get upvotes, man. You don't get any internet points for that, for saying that it's actually good. You only get internet points for saying that it's trash and saying that it's dog shit, dude. Okay? There were no, where were my threads? Where were, like, the big Reddit threads, dude? It wasn't there. See, like, random user, he's in the chat. He's like Reddit Lord, all over the place. I don't know. It was really weird. And so everyone was, like, shitting on the Pegasus instead. I mean,
I don't know how that Pegasus got so big. Yeah. It's like it's borderline one of the highest upvoted things on the Reddit now.
Yeah, I genuinely don't get it because it's not even that bad. I mean, it looks a bit weird.
I don't. The thing is, I just don't give a shit. I looked at it and I was like, huh, and then I moved on. Like, and then it was just forgotten. I haven't thought about the Pegasus ever since I looked at it until I went on Reddit. It was like just everywhere. I just didn't give a shit, and I don't understand why people did. It was a bad looking mount, but it's a mount skin on the gem store. Who cares?
Yeah, it's good. Who cares? And honestly, if that's the thing that's breaking your immersion, then I don't know what to tell you, dude. Okay, we've got people running around in like celestial cod pieces and shit like that. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, this is, it is insane. I know it is a bit of a weird meme, but yeah, I'm really, really surprised that people were so upset about it, because it's just, I mean, just don't buy it if you don't like it, right? I mean, it's just, it's a mount skin. There's loads of weird mount skins in the game. There's loads of weird everything in the game.
Yeah,
in the gem store. I mean, like,
but the episode was good. It was good fun.
Yes.
Both the story and the release. The map was actually really engaging. I mean, to an extent. Obviously, I've sat here complaining for an hour that it needs repeatability in the far future, and that I feel like I'm done with it. But the experience of it was good.
Yeah, I have.
It just doesn't have longevity to it. I
have one complaint about the map and the story, actually. Okay, and here we go. Here's my criticism of the map and the story.
Do it.
I do not understand the point of the shrines to the map. Are they going to develop this maybe later on, potentially? Because each
shrines,
of Ox and Wolverine and Eagle, right? Or Crow.
It's probably gonna go really downhill from here. I kind of forgot this topic, but you've just reminded me. Because apropos the thematic of all of those and the mastery systems, I think one of the reasons why I obviously found a lot of enjoyment with this episode was because of the mastery system having such a high bar. But I think going forward, they're going to move away from what Your Marches has established, as they always do. Every single Living Story release that comes out, they just kind of, scrap the old masteries in favor of whatever new thing there is to come. And so that means, even though right now we hit a really good bar, a really good high bar, the highest amount of XP dropped in one single release since POF. Actually, 1/3 of the amount of XP that you needed for POF was in this episode. it's going to go way down from here on because they're going to invent new systems, completely go away from the essence manipulations. There's never going to be a tier 4. There's not going to be a mega chest. So it's going to stagnate from here on out. Maybe, I mean, the spirit essence manipulation thematic, and so all of that corruption, all those corruption memes, all that stuff with the different spirit essences, I think it's all gonna go out the window simply because of the mastery system.
I
So
am
yeah,
not so sure. I think we're going to see the same enemies recurring throughout the entire story.
do you think?
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah,
I don't have
am.
any faith for it, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this. I think they're going to stick with these masteries. Yeah, they're going to try and push them across the board. I don't think we're going to get new ones. Maybe like a new one as well.
Do you think there's going to be a tier 4?
I do. I think they will continue. They might not keep making them more overpowered. Or they might make it a little bit more horizontal, right? Because if you keep buffing it, it's going to end up as a one-shot move, right? That's going to get a little bit ridiculous. But no, I think they're actually surprised. I think they're quite committed to these masters. I think they will continue to make them relevant throughout the remainder of the story. I would be pretty surprised if they didn't, actually, because there's a fair bit of grind to them as well, for Guild Wars 2 terms anyway, right? To actually get all of the masteries. So yeah, I think that it will remain relevant throughout the map. Like I was imprecise in my language. What I meant was, the 3 events, like the one with the bone skinners, the one with like the ox, where you become a cow, right? And drag around the cubes. Like, I was expecting that if you do all of those events at the same time, something happens. But it seems like they only really exist for the story, in a way, right? And that was my only complaint. It was like, this is
unique events.
Yeah, it's like, they're like quests, right? You do this once in the story, then there's no real, it doesn't go any further than that. I was like, oh, maybe it like summons some kind of boss, right? If you have all 3 of them purified at the same time or something like that. But no, that isn't what happens whatsoever, right?
And I think what'll happen is problem with it. They'll continue with the Raven attunement. So that mastery will keep going up. Maybe they'll add a wolf attunement as well, now that wolf is in the picture. But I think the rest of the animals, either they'll get something new, but I just don't see essence manipulation tier 4 happening. It seems like it'll be such a high bar for so many players, and it'll be basically useless. It'll just up the damage on a CC skill. Like this, from tier 2 to tier 3, the only thing that happens is you get a little bit of extra, you get like an extra, what's it called?
Confusion.
Condition. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, confusion or vulnerability or whatever, a condition. And you get like 4k extra damage. But it's such a situational skill that's activated randomly by the game for world bosses and whatnot. And yeah, a tier 4 would be useless. It really would.
Yeah, and I think that
it already is borderline that.
And I think this is perhaps an issue that we're skirting around a little bit. You're kind of hitting the nail on the head there. Like, this mastery in general is a bit, what like, what is this, right? I mean, it's not a mount, is it? It's not gliding. It doesn't really affect your gameplay. It doesn't alter the gameplay in the same way. It's not nowhere near as dynamic, right, as something like a mount or a glider. So maybe they want to add something that would be a little bit special. But to be fair, I want to give a bit of an olive branch to ArenaNet. Like, what could they possibly add that will be as impactful as a mount or a glider? I mean,
they don't have to implement something that's as impactful as a mount or a glider. I am perfectly in line with what they're going for right now. I just think that they're stretching it too far. So like going for Heart of Thorns masteries is a great idea. Like locking off areas based off of whether or not you have a mastery, or allowing you to use the jumping mushrooms, or using a buff or something on the map. Like, that should be locked behind masteries. And I don't mind them repeating the same things. Like, make another kind of mushroom that you bounce on, so to speak. I'm just giving a bad example here. And then make it a new mastery. That would actually be good. That would feel impactful for the map. But right now they're kind of they're stretching an already borderline boring idea. I'm sorry to say it, but essence manipulation is kind of boring. It's just a special action skill, and it just gets increasingly harder and harder hitting. And yeah, I mean, what's wrong with? Okay, sorry. I'm gonna not shit talk it so much, because I actually find that this special action skill has finally taught people what CC is on something like Drakkar. People are actually using their special action skill because they know about it. And I feel like that's a positive that's come from it. But I mean, everything has its limits. And I feel like tier 3, we're good there. We don't have to go any further on that one. That would be stretching it just way too far.
Yeah, maybe. And as you say, they're certainly going to expand on stuff like the Raven shrines, right, and the Raven gates, all that sort of stuff. Being able to teleport through something, have that kind of map exploration feature set, like more akin to Heart of Thorns. But yeah, like when it comes to like the combat thing, I mean, I don't know. I think they could maybe still extend it. For example, it could give you a boon when you use it as well. Like it just damage, right, and it applies a condition. Maybe the next.
It's already giving you a boon.
Oh yeah, it gives you.
So tier 2 was a boon. Tier 3 is a condition.
Yeah.
And more damage for every step.
What can it do now? Oh no.
Yeah, they can just make it more powerful.
It can be more powerful.
But the thing is, like, when they take the example of Drakkar, right? Already his break bar is getting instantly broken, and there's no, like, even if you don't break the bar, there's no real repercussions for it. That would be awesome if they changed it. So make the break bar even harder, or let there be some hard repercussions for not getting the break bar. But if you continually tune up the amount of CC damage that the special action skill does, then Drakkar, even if it's tuned up, will become less and less challenging, just because the break bar is going to be instantly, I mean, blown off every time.
Yeah, it's true.
But
yeah. With like the learning to CC thing though, don't you think people they're more like they're trained to use special action hotkey rather than they're trained to actually use CC?
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
Isn't it more like, I mean, they see the break bar and they go, "Yeah, it's time to press 6." Whoa, amazing! Or rather, they click it like, "Oh yeah," because most people don't even have it bound. It has no default binding. Oh, unfortunate. It's like, it's time to press the special action hotkey. Hooray!
But still, it's a raid and fractal mechanic that you have to learn at some point, right? I mean, you got to use that special action key.
That's true.
So but I guess people are kind of attuned to using the special action key to some degree now, at least.
They're definitely bringing it in a lot more, actually. In a lot of mechanics, right? I think they want to make the special action hotkey a lot more present across the board. And now I think
But I wonder.
I genuinely do that as well.
I genuinely wonder where they're going to go with the masteries. I think you are right, and they are going to milk it for a tier 4, maybe. Just because it adds to the levels, so to speak. It adds to the masteries. But personally, I'd much rather just see them make another one. Like, say now that the spirits, the Ox and Wolverine and Raven are all free, or Eagle, sorry, are all free from the corruption. Maybe we get Ox attunement or whatnot, and that does something that you take decreased damage, or you can, I don't know, move a boulder in the next map. I don't know, something. But generally, I think we're just gonna stick with the Raven attunement, and it's gonna go way down in the mastery. In the XP requirements and the mastery points that are required for at least the next episode. Maybe the next after that again. But Raven is going to be the ultimate thing that we work towards.
Do you think they're going to try and add an Omega mastery down the line, like something like a mount or a glider?
No.
What about like a mole? You can tunnel through the ground.
Yeah, see, it would be awesome, but I don't think that they'll do it in the season. I think if they are actually, which I genuinely believe that they are, working on an expansion, they're going to hold off every great idea for masteries.
That's fair.
For that.
That would make sense.
And then just kind of milk the quote unquote boring ones, which I'm perfectly fine with. and then we get something really cool for potential X-Pac 3.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I genuinely wonder where they're go with this. I just don't. Yeah.
Speaking about expansions, okay, that shaman data mined some stuff about the tome, right? The Icebrood Saga tome.
Oh yeah.
And it has 9 slots, I believe.
Yep.
9 slots for a total of.
But it has 9 slots for one for every episode.
Yes, not every map.
One for 0, and then technically in the game UI, 1 and 2 are the same. So there's not going to be 8 options because you get the same slot for the Bjorn Marches one. You can buy 2 different Bjorn Marches one and put it into the slot. So the question is, are we going to have 4 maps and 8 episodes, or are they actually going to buff up the size of the maps in the coming episodes? I guess
I'd have my money on maybe even a mixture of both. I think maybe you'll have one episode that has its own map, and then you'll have other episodes that have 2 episodes to one map there as well. I think I don't know. What would I prefer? I don't know. Actually, what would you prefer?
I'll be honest. I actually kind of like this expansion of the map. I actually kind of liked it. The thing is, because Bjorn Marches right now, as it stands, after both episodes have come out, is one of the most event-dense maps that we have across the game, across the entire game. It's so dense in events, you can literally chain from event to event to event for hours without stopping. Trust me, I did exactly that. And it's really cool. It works well after the fact. But when you're halfway into the episode, so episode 1 of Your Marches felt really meh. But when episode 2 was added and that whole map became a thing, it became so dense in content on that map. And I'm not saying that it's great content or like super engaging, challenging content, but there was a lot of content. It's very event dense. It actually worked out, and I actually really liked it. That said, though, I do like me some big maps. I like the size of these big maps, filling out the world map, and getting to see more areas of the game in one release. It feels very condensed when you only get half of the map. It really does. You don't really get to experience a lot of what is possible.
Do you think then for a bigger map, do you need like a really kind of driving meta event to kind of keep it feeling dense then and keep it feeling high energy? So if you have with a smaller map like Bjorn, right, you can kind of get away with these little pockets of events, right? These self-contained events. For a really big map, do you need an overarching theme that is almost like on rails, like something like an HOT map in a way, right? Like an HOT style map. Potentially.
I'd love to see that. Right. I'd love to see more of that. But you'd have to have a full release map, right? Because Bjorn Marches now has 2 metas, which is kind of unprecedented for Living Story releases. But for an expansion map, that's kind of the given. Most of the Path of Fire maps have two meta chains, and Heart of Thorns have the map wide meta events and everything. Like, they're pretty huge, and yeah, I don't know. Both of them work. I like both concepts, but I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I think they both have their place, and I think
Thunderhead has 2 metas as well. Sorry, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I think players tend to get overwhelmed by too many of one or the other. HOT, people didn't like HOT, right? Because it felt a little bit too much on rails a lot of the time. Like they felt like they had to commit and they had to be there for the events, right? To a certain extent, even though you kind of didn't, but that was the complaint, right? And Path of Fire was the opposite. Like Path of Fire feels like you just don't do anything, and there's no, you're just like wiggling around all over the place with no rhyme or reason really. So I think like having kind of like a few maps with both of those styles and kind of bringing together the best of both worlds is the approach that ArenaNet is likely to take. I don't think you're ever going to see like massive maps to the same extent, actually, of some of the ones we've had. I mean, like, I think they really don't want to have another corner, right? Like, that was,
Yeah.
that was there's a lot of empty space on that map and not a lot of anything going on whatsoever. But on the other hand, I do think they want to make sure everything is event dense, but also there is that exploration, right? Like, I really think that exploration is what they want to see. I think we see that reflected in Biora, because it is we didn't get a huge extra amount of map space with the patch, but there's kind of a lot of little nooks and crannies to investigate, right? Like with loads of jumping puzzles all over the place.
The second part of the map actually feels really huge compared to its size. I don't know. It's very vertical, and there's a lot of hidden areas and puzzles that span different levels of verticality. Yeah, I really like it.
There's a lot going on the map. Yeah. It's well designed, right? And a lot of it is, to be fair, like single playthrough content, right? You just do it once, but it's still it's still fun the first time, right? To go around and explore and find everything and do all the puzzles, right? They bugged out a little bit definitely. For me, but it was still good. It was still good. So I don't know. It's
like I can appreciate both ways of doing it.
Absolutely,
for being different things, I guess. But yeah, I can definitely see now that we see the fruits of what Biora marches have become. I can definitely see some positives to releasing half a map at a time and then giving a full team the attention to half of that map.
But I mean, what do you think we're actually going to be getting here in terms of like the Icebrood saga? I mean, do you view episode 1 and 2 as 2 episodes? What, as in like 1 episode chopped in half, or is it more
story-wise? Yeah, story-wise, it does feel like it just feel like a 2-parter of 1 episode. It's so short. Like as soon as you, both in episode 1 and in episode 2, the moment that you start getting into the story somewhat, it cuts off. Like you kind of get going, like the ball starts rolling. You're like, all right, Braum, we're working with Braum here, and then and it's over.
Is that potentially a weakness of the living story model then? Because they aren't able to get quite meaty, not particularly meaty episodes out there. Do you think that makes it hard for players to really get connected and invested to the story? Because anytime they engage with it, it kind of ends, right?
I can imagine that being a thing. It certainly is for me. Like I try afterwards to just kind of go through it diligently and like view the story on my own time. So I always do it on stream, and then I view it separately afterwards, just to like kind of get the details of it and appreciate it for what it is. And personally, I thought it was all right. Like I know a lot of people have given it flack for this episode, for example, giving it flack for Braum being in the center of it all. Like, why is the commander? Why is the player character not the main character of the story? And honestly, I understand. I get it. Like, we were kind of talking about this the other day, Teapot, and I kind of don't want to bring that up because it was a kind of a controversial spin on that.
Oh, that discussion. It was because of, I mean, I think we brought up some old Twitter conversations, right?
So the gist of it is, some developers believe that you can't make a player character in an MMO interesting, and I guess they're kind of going with that. I guess they're kind of going with that philosophy where you have this godlike creature, that is the commander, just kind of being able to do anything, and you have to then create a cool story where there's actual stakes and whatnot. And you can't really do that when you've created this godlike creature, at least not with the structure of storytelling that ArenaNet has in place. You definitely can't do that. I believe wholeheartedly that you can do that, but we're not going to get into that. But with the structure that we have of storytelling, which is linear storytelling, very, very linear storytelling, where you have to have risk, they are going about it in a way that they do not want to emphasize the commander. And so you have to have these side characters give spice to the story. And that's what they're trying to do here. They're livening up a character that people have not liked for a long time, trying to give him some story, trying to give him some oomph. And I can appreciate it for what they're trying to do. Yes. I agree, Nike, by the way, but I'm not going to get into it because I feel like I'm already stepping on very shaky ground.
Oh, dude, do you not want to go on meme review again? Do you not? You know,
no.
But no, I do. I certainly understand what they're doing. I think people are a little bit fed up with the Chosen One meme, especially when your player character does something really jarring that you go like, dude, I would never do that. So they're just saying like, oh yeah, you know, now we're gonna go the opposite way and make you the more of an observer, right? Like, and the story kind of unfolds in front of you. And I think, you know, that both approaches can be frustrating in different ways, but it is a little bit different. It is a little bit odd to kind of swap. But then again, I guess this is a new part of the story, so it does make sense. In a way, though, I'm kind of glad of the way they're approaching the story this time. Actually, I don't mind it because they're kind of taking the time to develop characters instead of having a massive amount of characters present at all times. That we've seen before, and not really having enough of a time to develop them. I mean, seriously, guys, like, this is not even a meme. Like, the devs forgot Rox. Like, Rox is not on. She is not present in the final instance of season 4, right? On the airship, right? You know, like, that she's not there, guys. Like, they forgot. Well, the devs forgot, right?
That's because she's with the Olmacon now. She's been whisked off to somewhere else,
and now
she's permanently stuck on Sandstruck Isles, never to return.
And of course, I am being a little bit facetious there. You know, I'm sure there is a good reason why she's not there, but you know, you know what I mean, right? Like, a lot of the characters saw so little airtime. You're kind of like, who are you? Like what are your motivations? Like, what are you doing these days? And I think, you know, we've had two episodes that essentially focus on Braham, right, and developing that character. Honestly, it looks like Braham may end up being like a very central character in the Iceberg Saga. Actually, maybe more so than the other members of our guild. Actually, he is the chosen one. He's us now, right? He's gonna go and do his.
He is Wolf Boy.
Yeah, he's gonna go do his thing.
He's gonna steal the bow and shoot a dragon.
Exactly.
We're gonna stand by as the side character that we are now.
Well, I mean,
and I'm gonna embrace that.
Yeah,
dude, I will be the mercenary.
Yeah, the raid
story tells me that I am. Yeah. I will be that mercenary with no name.
I think I prefer it to the Chosen One.
That's my RP.
Chosen One in MMOs is just, I don't really like it. It's just that, you know, because there's so many chosen ones.
We are a champion.
Well,
yes.
Well, that's
a new name for being the chosen one.
Exactly. We're the commander of the pack, dude. You know, easy, big meme.
Yeah.
We're the dragon's champion, but yeah, it's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the way the story's going, and I thought that the writing was okay in the episode. I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty high energy. There's some good stuff. You know, you have a fun fight. There's a lot of fun fights in the instance, I think, actually, with Drakkar as well. The cutscene on when you actually beat Drakkar down in the story is weird. He kind of just like insta dies out of nowhere, which is a little bit weird. I maybe that's a bit unfinished.
In the story, Drakkar just seems like the biggest fucking shit show ever. Like, instantly dead. Like, it starts off by running off and then instantly dies. It's like, all right, cool boss.
He gets farmed.
Awesome.
Insta farmed, dude.
Yeah, one attack. Same with the commander. One bow shot.
Yeah. See,
it's like a quick time event. I can't partake in.
Dude, yeah, like that.
I sat there like 3, 2, 1, dodge. Like, oh, okay. Not enough energy. Nice.
Doing that kind of thing in the story, I think is really weird, right? I mean, like, fair enough. When we got blasted in the face by a laser beam by Kralkator, yeah, obviously, you know, our character wouldn't be able to survive that. Or when we get our ass beat by Balthazar, that's okay, right? But like, when some random fucking like Char bureaucrat like fires an arrow at us, right? It's like, no, like that puts us down immediately. I mean, really? I mean, come on, like what is that? And there's no dodging like
now's the time for Braum to actually use that shield skill that he constantly spams to knock away enemies. Now's that time, Braum. Don't be shitty NPC. I absolutely hate playing with Braum. Can I just say that? I want to go on a rant now. Holy shit, he is the absolute worst NPCs to have in your party because he knocks away all of your enemies. In a game where LOS and stacking enemies on top to do massive AoE damage is the prevalent way of playing and the most efficient way of playing some of these encounters, having an NPC that just knocks them all away with the shield randomly, fuck that guy. Get out of my team. Yeah, that is horrible. He would be kicked out of my party.
Would you bench him? You'd bench him?
Oh, I instantly. If he was a hero, he'd be gone.
If he was a hero, at least you could disable the ability, right? So it wouldn't be too bad.
Take that fucking shield away from him.
Yeah, no using that. It's an interesting one, but like I guess we have to accept some level of contrivance, right? Otherwise, how are they gonna move the story? Because like if there was no contrivance, then we'd be basically unstoppable within the context of the story, right? Because you are if you actually think about how insanely overpowered you are as a player character in the actual game, then nothing would ever phase you. In fact, dude, like, when I'm playing through the story, I have to remark that, right? Everyone's like, oh no, we're gonna die to the dragons. Like, dude, bitch, I've got heal necro, dude. Like, we're fine. It's like no problem whatsoever. And then, even if you die, you can just waypoint. So it's like, dude, like, why is no one waypointing? Like, it's kind of like Tequatl with pugs, right? Like, everyone's just dead on the ground, not waypointing. There's guys, you can just you can just respawn. So yeah, you have to accept a level of contrivance, right? With the story. But yeah, I thought it was overall solid. I didn't see Aurene coming up at the end. Actually, I wasn't expecting to see her for quite a while.
Oh yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But apparently, and they were talking about this on the guild chat. Apparently, the reason why Drakkar is like he is, like the reason why he changed so much, was because they made a whole new rig for Aurene this early on, and they could reuse that rig, but the rig didn't fit the old model of Drakkar. Like they couldn't make the weird tentacles work properly, and so they did a whole like redesign of Drakkar based on Aurene's rig. It's actually really funny because if you watch the guild chat, they have some like placeholder animations and whatnot where they have Aurene doing all of Drakkar's animations really wonkily, so like stomping around and everything. Looks really cool. I can recommend watching the latest guild chat.
Dude, that's pretty big. I like that shit. That's some good memes.
I do have some. I'm kind of annoyed personally with how they changed Drakkar. Because to me, I know, I guess their argument for changing it is obviously from a design perspective. But in the lore, all right, that the way that they kind of go about explaining it away is, oh yeah, it's been affected by Drakkar's magic. I think there's like an NPC near the waypoint in Bureau Marches that talks about, oh yeah, it's been in the ice for so long and Drakkar's magic has altered it and whatnot. And I kind of see where they're going with and why they did it, obviously from a design perspective and whatnot, but they could have just called it something else. It's not Drakkar. Like, I feel like we were kind of, I don't want to use the word robbed, but we were kind of robbed of the actual Drakkar fight. Or the Drakkar monster. They just took a new enemy. And I don't have an issue with them taking a new enemy or a new dragon or a new champion and then implementing that. But don't call it Drakkar. It's not really Drakkar, right? You created something entirely new. Why did you have to name it after an already known figure in the game? And then give it a weird reason for it looking differently.
Is there an in-game reason why he's kind of
the in-game reason is just Jormak's magic has morphed him. There is an NPC that says that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's it. Yeah, that's something,
but,
I guess.
I mean, it's something, but it just feels. I don't know. It doesn't feel all too great for me. It really just feels like a completely different enemy. Call it Brakar with
Brakar.
B.
Yeah,
Brakar.
yeah.
That's
Drakar's brother, long lost brother. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's good. Yeah,
That's basically what it is. It's just a new thing. It's GW1 sightseeing for cheap nostalgia, but it isn't. That's kind of the thing. That's what I'm going for. They tried to go for the sightseeing with the name, but it's actually not sightseeing. They've created something entirely new, which is fine. I don't have anything against that, but they're kind of, let's use the word whitewashing. They're kind of just
Whoa, yeah,
brushing it off with a new name. They're kind of like saying, yeah, this is all good. It just looks a little different, but it has the same name.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind. I guess it's like remastering. It's like remastering a game. People get triggered when it's not quite like the original in some of the design aspects. I guess. Yeah, I can certainly understand wanting it to be more of a traditional dragon fight, but I suppose they perhaps just wanted to have something a little bit different with the aesthetic there as well. There have been a lot of dragon creatures about the place, so I guess they just wanted something maybe a little bit different, and they wanted to. I don't know.
It is a cool design,
and stuff has changed, right? Like, because he's a little bit on the undead side, right? Like, isn't that actually within the context of the story as well? But it's not just
his, like, everything about him has changed. He's got toes now. He's got a elongated head. He doesn't have the weird horns and whatnot. Like there's not a single semblance of what once was the Guild Wars 1 model. There's no overlapping features, not one.
That is true,
and that's fine. But it's just not Drakkar.
I've lost the debate. I lose. It's over. I concede the debate.
Yeah. Kidda knows exactly what I mean. Like, they're just using the name so it feels like a scam. They're using it for nostalgia reasons, but it has nothing to do with it. Maybe the location, I guess, and they made a cool story about it, like being under the ice and slowly acute, like the whispers growing bigger and bigger, more and more profound. The more dragons died, and then the Coden Sanctuary was overtaken. It's a cool story.
That's something I actually really want to praise. Actually, the way the Coden story was handled, I think, was really, really elegant. Like they have a certain poetry the way they talk about stuff, don't they? I think that's really well done. Really interesting story. With the way the Coden are.
Love Coden.
Yeah, really interesting. Hopefully, we see some more expansion there as well. Like the way those characters are interacted with, and you know, that kind of that culture of that species, I suppose. It's really, really interesting, really, really cool. So I think that was handled extremely well, actually. And I was certainly very pleased to see Bangar brought back into this as well in the story, because like one of my main critiques of the first episode was, you know, similar to what we talked about before. It did almost feel like this is episode, you know, 0.5 rather than episode 1, right? And it didn't. I felt that episode 1 didn't really progress the story that much. I think that episode 2 did a little bit more, but certainly I think that they are taking their time a lot more this time. And I think that I even predicted it. I kind of got the feeling that they were going to have more than 6 episodes, right? Because of how much more detail they're going into with the story and how they're taking their time. Moving through the maps, moving through the world, moving through the story. And I think that's essentially confirmed now. I think they are going to be taking the story at a slower pace. So like kind of moving the same overall distance in terms of story progression over the course of the entire the saga. But it is going to be over more episodes. And I actually really like that. For example, like I really wish that we had this kind of situation when we still had Joko around. Like that was a character that he got a bit of a shaft, really. I mean, yeah, I think it was an entertaining storyline, and he got a pretty good send off. I know some people didn't like the send off. I kind of thought it was perfect for his character. So, but there you go. But wouldn't it have been more interesting to have him around for, say, like 4 episodes instead of just 3, or you know, even 5 episodes, like more like that, like to take our time a little bit, or even have an entire saga just on Joko? Like, yeah, I think that would have been. I think that would have been a little more interesting. And I think that one of my main criticisms of of season 4 was that stuff just didn't really, it didn't really last. It was like, oh, yep, off we go, like let's go, everything was like, it happened immediately, and it's like, well, yep, it's over now. And when you have a story that is paradoxically insanely fast because of how much ground you cover in the story, but also insanely slow, right? Because of the fact it takes a year and a half to actually get to the end of it, right? I think that leads to be very, very unsatisfying. And this kind of middle ground of maybe releasing an episode every 2 months, which seems to be what we're going to end up getting, but taking the time a little bit and kind of examining the details and fleshing out a lot of the characters, having like a bunch of like unrelatable people you don't care about. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like that is a good plan to me. That sounds pretty good. And you know what? You know what's fucking sick? Do you know why I like this episode so much? I've just realized this.
What?
You know.
What?
No fucking time he did in the entire episode.
Oh.
Not even one voice line, okay? And that is a big feels good, man. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is. And I didn't see that one coming whatsoever. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything?
I think you are right on that. Like, they have like the story, the premise of the story for Jormak and fighting that, and all of whatever is going to be included in the Iceroot saga, unless they strave off on random tangents, the premise of the story is very simple and pretty short-lived, right? So we're going to kill the dragon, and we're already there. And what we have right now is we have Bangar, who is going to go into Jormag. He's going to get corrupted by Jormag, and they're going to attack us, and we're going to have to defend against them and kill Drakkar, or not Drakkar, Jormag. That's about it, right? That, to me, sounds like it could be done in 3 episodes, like with the usual amount of story that they put out. And I think ArenaNet is kind of thinking the same, and so they're kind of chopping it up to stall for time. So they're chopping up the story into, like, say they have 4 episodes, right? They're chopping it up into 8. So we're getting 8 releases of half a story every time, where we incrementally move closer and closer, and they're stalling for time for what is next. We were kind of talking about this just the other day, actually, just a random discussion here on your channel, because that argument is my biggest argument towards them actually creating or stalling for time to create an expansion 3 at the end of it, is that they know they have the season, the saga, and it's going to end somewhere with something. Maybe it's another season, maybe it's an expansion, who knows, maybe it's a new game, but they're stalling for time for something in the end, and they're kind of chopping up the story to stall for time in that sense. And now I'm just going in circles, but you get what I'm saying. So I think we're going to have just shorter increments of story of a pretty easily told story.
It's an easily told story, but I think they've been wise to introduce these complications, right? With Bangar and Ryland, right? Like in particular, like the Ryland memes, right? Like, what are we gonna do if there's going to be that kind of almost like that internal conflict with Ritlock if we have to end up putting his son down, right? That would be pretty intense, that could actually be high energy, right? You know what I mean? Like, that could be big. Like, what if it actually comes to that, right? And we have to we have to kind of start killing our friends' kids. That's fucked up, right? But there you go.
He's just gonna be locked up in a prison. No, or he's gonna get corrupted, and and Ridlock will have to kill him himself. Oh, that would be brutal. That would be metal right there. Ridlock killing his own son. That would be great.
Oh my god, that would be pretty fucking brutal, actually. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think there are a few ways they can definitely move. I'm not sure if they're exactly stalling though, because I'm not sure if they're stalling because of the increased cadence. It's going to take a little bit longer. right?
Yeah, but how long is it
It's
going to
not really
take?
going to take. It's not going to take much longer whatsoever, right? Like because it's 2 months over, it's just over 3, so it shouldn't be too long, right?
Let's say they have a release cadence of 2.5 months for every episode, right? How long will it take to get 6 episodes out from now?
Well, it's a year, right? 6 months. Boom.
How long does it take to make an expansion?
Ooh, a year.
I mean,
a year is ambitious for an
but
expansion.
historically, they've made Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire in about 2 years, right?
I'm not
Maybe
sure.
it's even
I'm not sure.
Shorter. I'm pretty sure Heart of Thorns was like a rushed project, and it took like just over a year. And I think it might have been the same for Path of Fire, but maybe that's a bit ambitious of me to assume.
And I want to believe. Do you think that
in a year they will have had a lot of time? Yeah. Like say they started up the expansion progress or work shortly or some months after the layoffs. They will have right now had about 6 months. Give them another year, and they will have plenty of time to actually maybe have made an expansion. I'm just saying there's a possibility.
Okay.
I'm trying to spark some joy and hope and a little ray of hope into this whole conversation about the game.
I want to believe. I really want to believe.
Me too.
Whatsoever. Like, I mean, if Guild Wars 3 was coming out in, let's say, we're done by January this next year, right? Approximately for the Icebridge Saga, and then the expansion comes out, let's say 3 months after that, and that would be at God mode. That would be amazing. I would love that. But would that be God mode actually? Because are we going to get another Path of Fire, or are we going to get something a little bit better than that?
I mean, even if we got another Path of Fire as the last send-off expansion, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I love the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want one more. I just want one more expansion as a send-off. I've said this before, but like, if they give us one expansion and then just say, all right, guys, we're done, we're moving on to something else, I would actually be fine. You can quote me on that when it happens, if it happens.
Okay.
I would actually be fine with that. And I would be happy with that, I think, is the better way of saying it. One last expansion. Peace out. I'll see you in Guild Wars 3. Awesome. And then Guild Wars 2 could live on as what it is by that time. Amazing.
What would be the selling point of the expansion to you? Like, why an expansion? Is it just that massive content drop at the same time? Is it elite specs? Like, what exactly is the source?
It's the combination of the elite specs and the massive content drop. Because not only are we getting new content, everything else will get just a new coat of paint with elite specs. So everything else can be played differently all of a sudden. And if they were to add just one more raid in as well, I mean, that would be awesome, right?
Oh, it would be amazing. And look, I have come to really appreciate raid content in this game over the years. I think they do an excellent job of it. So I would absolutely love it if they could actually pull this off, right, and get that going. I mean, it will be amazing to me. I really like raids in Guild Wars 2. I think they really are a very special piece of content, and it's a crying shame really that we don't really see a lot more of them. And I'll fucking 100% take that. And as you say, like, a massive thing with elite specs is that suddenly the game is so different, right? Like, just across the board. Old content is now revitalized thanks to those elite specializations. And for me, I'm in complete agreement there. Like, if we got another POF and it was a little bit repeatability light on launch, doesn't fucking matter, because we've already got so much content, like 7 raid wings or maybe 8 by the time the expansion comes out, to replay and so many new interactions, right? Interactions between elite specializations between classes that just did not exist before, right? I don't know. That is a very, very good time. I think that is it's a very, very special thing indeed. But yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'd love it.
Yeah, I would absolutely love it. But I mean, do you? So you would predict an expansion coming out in kind of early mid 2021? Then that's
Yeah,
that's
or
the idea there?
I'd say mid 2021 or late 2021.
Yeah.
I'm giving them a bit of leeway there, I guess. Um, yeah, I could definitely see a November release for the X-Pack 2021.
What
But who
is
knows?
and then what happens to Guild Wars 2 after that? Like what's the end game?
Well, that's the real good question, isn't it? What happens after that? That's the question we're trying to answer right now. What happens after the Iceroot saga? And then what happens after that? And then what happens after that? Who knows? I don't even think ArenaNet knows. I don't even know if they know what's coming after the Iceroot saga. Maybe they are just like kind of shooting shooting for every goal. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to build another game at the same time as they're trying to build the railways in front of the train that is Guild Wars 2. Who knows? But yeah, what comes after the third expansion? Only God knows. and Aurene, I guess. Hey.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I mean, do you see? This is like the question that gets asked every tea time at this point. I guess it's been a while though, so you guys have forgotten. So you like, oh, we're recycling content here. But I mean, like, do you see like the vision of Guild Wars 3 like existing, or is it going to be, or is Arena like, nah, fuck this multiplayer shit, we're out? You know, like what? I mean,
it's a good question. I mean, I'm convinced that they had Guild Wars 3 in the works, but I'm also convinced that they're not working on it anymore. But if they were actively working on Guild Wars 3, they likely will have gone out of their way to try to build a new what's it called? Engine, thank you. A new engine. And if you start work on a new engine, you are not going to just hit delete on that if you can't.
Just like yeah, like the project doesn't work out and you just delete the source code. Yeah, I mean that's probably a bit unlikely.
They 100% have it lying around. So if they were working on it, which I 100% believe that they were, they will also have something to work off of later when they pick it up again. So do I believe Guild Wars 3 might happen? Yes, absolutely. I do believe that might happen. Could it turn into something completely different than Guild Wars 3? Yes, that definitely could also happen. Maybe they want to distance themselves from Guild Wars 3. Maybe the way that they are going to distance themselves from Guild Wars is, or just in the Guild Wars 3 genre, is by just taking another planet or taking another continent entirely. Not doing all that nostalgia shit again with Guild Wars 2. But who knows? I, for one, just see it as a definite possibility that they could be throwing out a big MMO again. Yes.
And I would like it. I mean, I love MMOs. That would be ideal for me. But you know, it might be a bit of a stretch, I'm afraid.
I mean, it's still going to be like 5-7 years away at the very least.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to be worried about that for a very, very long time. Now, that's not going to be happening. So yeah, that's you know, it's long on this talk. You know, it's funny actually. You know, Brazil actually made the prediction before on one of the last tea times he was on. He said that Guild Wars, I think he said that Guild Wars 2 will come out in Guild Wars 3 rather will come out in 2026. That's actually looking very real. You know, if that was going to happen, that seems like a very good prediction right now. Actually,
yeah, he was prophetic, and we just didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he always has been, right?
We had a prophet amongst us,
and we just, you know. We didn't listen. We didn't listen to Brazil. We
didn't listen.
And we should have listened.
And so we suffer the consequences.
Yeah, we do indeed suffer the consequences of our actions.
Jesus. Wait, what?
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
What? I don't know.
A little bit intense then.
Yeah.
I got a little bit intense.
A little spicy.
Yeah. So like for the rest of the Iceroot saga, do you see any like notable differences? Just like overall with the way the story is going to end up being executed?
Wait, could you repeat the first one? I guess I missed it.
Oh, like for the rest of the saga, like is it going to be more of the same of what we've experienced so far, or are there going to be,
Oh yeah.
or is it going to be like new, fresh memes coming to this? Because you know, this is where my take might end up being like a little bit hot. Like I really think ArenaNet is trying a different approach with a lot of this stuff here. Like I think the way they're actually iterating on stuff is genuinely unprecedented. With the way they're attacking this stuff, I think the balance patch is another really good example of this. Actually, like the balance patch, it's the we're going to be talking about that a lot more next week, guys, on TeaTime. This is more about the story today, but my goodness, they are not messing around. I don't know if you've seen it, Deroir, but they aren't fucking around.
It's
at
fucking
all
insane, actually.
Like, I mean, dude, I like where this is going, dude. I mean, it's big. You know, it is actually really big.
Do you think the sheer size of these changes is kind of foretelling of what is to come? Do you think that they are trying to bank harder on PvP in the future, or world versus world with alliances, or what do you think this is actually foretelling, if anything? Because personally, I'll preface this before you get the answer, I guess. I just think it's some of the devs that were really excited about PvP wanting to change it, and it's not really indicative of anything major to come other than that specific thing. But maybe that's the cynic in me. I appreciate the balance patch. I truly do. It's going to do a lot of good, but I don't know if I would see it as a mark of things to come.
No, you're completely correct. I don't think this is like a refocus onto PvP. I think the way this went is that a developer, you know, perhaps somewhat unknown, we don't know exactly who. Someone went to one of the suits, one of the higher ups at ArenaNet, and basically said, to fix the issues with PvP, it's really not that hard. We just have to, you know, put CMC in a room for a few days on his own, right, with a lot of coffee, and he can do it solo, right? And great news, it turns out Guild Wars 2 is actually kind of a best-in-class product for PvP, for world versus world and PvP, and fixing it is real easy, actually. You know, if you really think about it, in terms of expense to ArenaNet, like it's not very expensive for them to fix it. Like obviously that's a little presumptuous, but I don't think that's I don't think that's a bad assumption, because I don't see how this balance patch is money intensive, right? Like I don't think a lot of people were working on it compared to say a Living Story episode, like not even close, right? And I don't know. I guess like someone just convinced ArenaNet that this was actually something that is a really good idea, because hey, you know, like PvP in Guild Wars 2 is really easy to sell because it's actually really good for what it is, and for the genre, like for MMOs, like the PvP is really good. So yeah, that's probably what went down, right? And that's obviously very good. But no, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think they're refocusing on it. But I think Arena just realized that they can make the best PvP MMO, and they also don't really have to try very hard to do it. And that's obviously a good look. And to be honest, I think this is the thing, right? PvP. Allow me to restart here. I think Arena also realized that it is very easy to make the PvP players quite happy and essentially provide infinite content. And more importantly, the converse here is that I think they have realized it is extremely difficult to actually make a story-driven MMO, as in purely story-driven MMO. Like making a purely PvE-driven MMO while also adhering to their very strict content standards is insanely difficult. I would even go. I mean, I've talked a lot about this on my stream. I would even go as far to say that if you're making a PvE MMO, you are fighting. You're fighting reality. Like it cannot be done. You cannot produce PvE content in MMO at a rate that will satisfy the player base. Like I would even say that it is literally impossible. Blizzard can't do it. Square can't do it. No one can do it.
And now Amazon is setting themselves up for the same fail.
Exactly. Well, yeah, the new world is going to try and do it, but good luck, right? I don't think it can be done. And I think ArenaNet perhaps has realized that, it turns out that holy shit, dude, if you put these players in their little world versus world, they'll just run around like little ants for like 5 years straight, even if you give them absolutely no content, and even like make fun of their game mode and then add a mount to it that nobody wants. They still won't quit at Deroir. They just won't stop, right? I think like, oh, yeah, they figured it out after a very, very long time. That you can't really get rid of these players because it turns out Guild Wars 2 is actually quite good at being a realm versus realm game, and it's quite good at being a PvP game, and those game modes don't require nearly as much development time or development resources to upkeep, right? And the content isn't the content, right? The content is the players in these game modes, which means that, as soon as you put, all you have to do is like give them some maps, right? And everyone just goes around in circles forever, right? Which is why I think PvP works really well in MMOs. Even though like you could argue it's like perhaps not, mechanically inferior because you can't have as sophisticated combat system as say a single player game or like a smaller amount of player game, right? But it makes up for that in the fact that, it's fun, okay? And you've got your character, you've got a level of persistence to it, which I think really, really attracts people to the MMO genre. And I don't know, Guild Wars 2 does actually have a really, really good combat system and pulls it off well and has some solid game modes there as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing with PvP. Like, I tweeted this out a very long time, and after the balance patch, I think I'm definitely right. If you are... Guild Wars 2, if you want to play Guild Wars 2 like long term, as in actually like play it every single day, you have two choices. The first choice is either give up, or the second choice is play PvP in world versus world. If you want to be like a hardcore PvE player, Guild Wars 2 is not really sustainable for you, as from a gameplay perspective, right? Because the game doesn't fuck you over nearly enough, right? There's no Azerite grind, right? There's no level progression. There's no item progression. If you want to have a hardcore PvE experience, the game has to essentially waste your time so before you get to the content. But Guild Wars 2 doesn't do this. Guild Wars 2 says, oh, you want a raid? Great. Like, go and do the raid right now. Do it literally day one of creating your character, right? There's no dungeons you have to get through. There's no difficulty tiers you have to ascend through over a great period of time. You just go and play. And that's why the PvE conundrum in Guild Wars 2 is really, really difficult. Because there's no time wasting. There's only the content, which in my opinion is a really, really good feature. But it is a little bit of a double-edged sword to a certain extent there as well. There are a few downsides to that. And that, yeah, you tend to lack longevity, I suppose, to some of the stuff. Like you just run out of stuff to do because the game isn't wasting your time. And that means that you don't get to the next content release unscathed, as it were. You just it's good. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, if you don't want to play the game long term, actually no, that's not true. I said there are two options. You can like give up or play PvP in World Wars 2. That's not quite true, actually. If you like achievement hunting, Guild Wars 2 is actually excellent for that as well. And that's a very valid way of playing the game, by the way, guys, as well. And I often forget that, and that is something that I shouldn't do. If you're into achievement hunting, Guild Wars 2 is actually amazing for it, dude. Holy shit. Like, some of this stuff, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of little activities that you can engage in if you want to.
To a certain extent, though, because achievement points is an unintentionally non-competitive scene, simply because there are achievements that are locked out for people to get. You cannot get season 1 achievements. If you're a new player, you cannot compete with other longtime players, even in the long run. If you're like me, who was kind of casual earlier on in the game, didn't really go for every achievement, I am non-competitive in the achievement section. Like, I can't compete with the top offenders. I can't, or top
offenders.
Wow, yeah. You know what I meant. The top competitors, top competition. I can't ever get maximum achievement points. It's impossible for me. I'm really proud of what I can get. I've got 40K, and I'm really excited about that. That was big boy energy.
Yeah,
that happened when this release came out. Finally, 40K. But I will never reach the top. It's impossible, and so it's unintentionally non-competitive. It just feels bad now.
And yeah, that's certainly an issue. I think that achievement hunting doesn't necessarily have to be competitive, though. I think like simply unlocking all the achievements, like as you say, like getting 40k is like, oh, dude, nice, right?
I mean, yeah.
I think not everyone who is hunting achievements is necessarily competitive about it, but yeah, I do agree that that could definitely, that's something that should be addressed at some point, right? And I'm sure ArenaNet are, well, let's put it like this: they are obviously acutely aware of what happened with season 1 and 2, right? In particular, season 1, and I think it probably is a little bit of a sore spot. I would imagine with ArenaNet, but yeah, could they reintroduce that somehow? Then yeah, maybe, right? Like, so you could go for all the achievements to make it fully competitive. Yeah, I think that would be probably something even good that they could go for. But I imagine that's not exactly high on the priority list for the company, I suppose. But yeah, there you go. That was a slightly unusual tangent, wasn't it? But there you go. It is tea time, boys. Yeah. What do you guys expect?
Basically, right? Tangent time.
Yeah, it is. That's a good name, actually. I can work with that. Yeah, that's pretty high energy right there. But like, overall, is there anything that we need to discuss further? Do you think? Like, have we kind of got the whole thing?
I think we've beaten the Pegasus.
Yeah, we've beaten it. We've beat once again. Like, that is what tea time is, guys. Your Sunday evening entertainment of beating a dead Pegasus live on stream. You know what, dude? Like, I would be really curious. And you know what? This is where, speaking of the Pegasus, this is actually a moment. Hello, ArenaNet Hoggum. Okay, this is an amazing time for you to step in and just tell us how really well that mount sold, in particular because of how much it got promoted by everyone, like hard spamming it, like about the place and making fun of it.
But here's the thing:
like,
no matter no matter what price tag that would be put out for this Pegasus, it had to be put in correlation to everything else, because we don't know any sales numbers for any of them. So he could literally say anything. The Pegasus sold 100,000, and we would all be like, what the fuck? Who did that? But then the other Griffin skins sold 500,000.
But couldn't he say that it sold above average? He could say it sold above average, right, or something, right? Like, you could say something.
I mean,
like
yeah, I guess
it was like, yeah, this is an above average mount skin, because I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I feel like people really like that sort of thing, right? Like the kind of unicorn memes, you know? Isn't that like a really popular thing?
But no. Wait, no. One of the lowest what's it called? The rate of what's it called? Ownership. One of the least popular legendaries is the Dreamer. That's how popular unicorns are in this game.
Oh shit!
People didn't want to make
that's big.
The Dreamer.
If
we just take that as like some kind of reference point, it's very easy to see that, like, tigers, like, what are they, fiery tigers and whatnot, it just sells better.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer
in
that.
Guild Wars 2, we're just more edgy.
Yeah, you know why, dude? It's because everyone played Guild Wars 1. Every motherfucker was like XX Dark Nightmare Rose XX in Guild Wars 1, dude. You know, like, everyone had the edgiest fucking names in that game. So yeah, like, we are a bunch of edgelords here. So that that's certainly true. You know. Oh. Here is the final topic, okay? And this is a spicy meatball, Deroir, okay? We talked a little about this a few times before, actually. Like, is it possible for ArenaNet to regain goodwill from the kind of online community? Not necessarily the general Guild Wars 2 community. I think in general people still really like the game, but I'm talking. Yeah. You know what I mean, right? And everyone in the chat knows.
Exactly.
I'm talking like the public, online, Reddit, YouTube, blah,
the
blah,
bubble
blah,
that is,
right?
Yeah. All of that community.
Yeah.
No. Yep. Is my answer. I don't think that they can actually regain the confidence of the majority of those players. I think so many players feel burned, feels like they've been let down so many times, having all of the features that they wanted implemented into the game just be kind of shit. Build loadouts. And then kind of just getting burned over and over again, and kind of just getting this repetitive feeling of getting burned. I feel like a lot of people are caught in that feeling, and I think it's an overwhelming majority that cannot get turned back to having an optimistic attitude towards
Yeah.
ArenaNet or Guild Wars 2.
I'm really inclined to agree here actually, because I had a few kind of sometimes the chat tries to bully me, right? Like that happens, right? The chat tries to debate me, this and I obviously debate the chat in kind, and I've kind of tried to ask the question, like what more do you want, right? Because like the way I see it, like particularly with episode 2, like ArenaNet legitimately delivered like on a lot of the key points, right? And it didn't help, right? I mean,
but let's be real here, and I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting that, because I think I see a lot of people saying in chat here, yes, you can change it, but they just don't want to go that way. Yes, you definitely could change it if ArenaNet actually went 100% in Guild Wars 2, released raids, fractals, supported PvP, supported World vs. World, didn't keep us waiting for 2 years. Happy birthday, by the way, to the Alliance System announcement.
Oh, 2-year birthday. Yeah.
As of today, I think it is. Actually, it's like if they didn't do that, but actually went in on it, yes, people would absolutely get confidence back. But they're not going that route. They are definitely focusing on other titles. We know that. That they're focusing on another game. They're focusing on story content in the game, which is, I guess, the majority of the player base that are interested in playing that. At least once every 2 months, they come back. And so we get a huge spike of players. And so we're focusing on that. But if they wanted, yes, they obviously could regain the confidence of the Reddit community and all of the sour elitists by releasing all of the content that we are actually begging for but have not gotten. But are they going to? No. The answer is no. The trajectory that they are on does not bode positive for what is to come for that part of the community. And so that's where I'm arguing from, is that I just do not believe that they will do it. And so people won't get that confidence back.
I think I'd maybe take it a little bit far. I think that it would... I think that even if ArenaNet do deliver on a lot of this stuff, I think it probably still wouldn't be enough, actually.
Do you think if we had 3 raids a year...
If we had 3 raids a year, yeah, obviously, right? But my point is that is more than we have ever really had, right? I mean, like that would. I mean, you could argue. I guess like Wings 1 through 3 were a little bit like that, ish. I think they all came out relative about 3 months apart. That was really, really quick, right? Like, yeah, if they went back to that, then it would be really, really good. But I don't think people were really mega disillusioned with ArenaNet until like after Wing 5, really. I think that's when it really started to kick in. Like that's when like the 1 raid a year memes started coming, like Wing 4, 5, and 6. Like, so, yeah. But like before that, like people weren't really that upset. And I think Wing 5 made people really happy as well, right? Like what I'm trying to get at here is I think that to make people actually happy with a lot of this stuff, you have to almost like holy grail it, right? Like it's just, I think for a lot of people, the honeymoon phase is completely over and there is absolutely no going back, right? If that makes any sense, you know? I think that people used to give the game the benefit of the doubt, right? And ArenaNet the benefit of the doubt. And that, the illusion has been fucking shattered, okay? You know, see, that's a Guild Wars 2. It's appropriate right there, boys, see? Yeah, it has been utterly shattered, dude, and that, you know, that is not good. It's like 1 dodge roll on Mirage, boys, you know what I mean? Like, it's gone, you know? It's not there anymore. You know, Illusionary Persona on Chrono, yeah, ouch. That, it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And I think like to kind of win that back, you have to go beyond what you had previously to get there. So, and I think that is
is not likely to happen.
It's kind of like it's not. I'm not even sure if it's really that possible. Really,
no.
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be an easy one. That's for sure. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a contrarian because I do my best to give people the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, I have been very, very critical of ArenaNet, and I have been a little bit I have been upset. I have been very, very salty about the game. But you know, I like to think that even in my darkest hour, I would always try to at least give credit where it's due. And I don't know. I think Arena are legitimately on a bit of a redemption arc right now with their new iterative approach. A great world boss there as well. Like story is improving, I think, in almost every way. From like a production value standpoint, from you know, a gameplay standpoint, and from a writing standpoint as well. So I don't know, like that's pretty good. Just rip off that band-aid, UK. Exactly. Just rip that shit off, dude. Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a bit of a spicy meme, but yeah, like I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with that, to be honest. Like I just wanted to have some spice, you know, like just a little bit of spice towards the end of the tea time, you know. Little bit of a meme, you know. Just a little bit of a meme.
I thought this was all around pretty spicy.
Yeah, it was I think it was quite spicy.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what we're here for, you know. I think the time for spice has absolutely arrived. You know, like this is it's all we have left, really. You know, if we have no spice, then what is there? He who controls the spice controls, is it the galaxy or the universe?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Good Dune reference right there.
Yeah. I'm not quite polished up on it, I'm afraid, to get it quite back there. Yeah, back to old TeaTime is bashing on the game. I don't know. I think we were actually quite kind to the game. You know, I don't think we really went that hard.
We said some nice things about the release.
Yeah.
Yeah. We praised the Drakkar fight. We praised the event density. We shit on a lot of things too as well. I mean,
yeah, we didn't annihilate the game though. We didn't say it was dog shit, right? There's a difference between like bashing and criticizing, right? And saying, oh yeah, like this is good, but you know, this could do with some improvement, right? Those are not the. I felt there's a big distinction there, right? Yeah. You know, and I think so often we see so much polarization in the community, right? And I think that doesn't help ArenaNet either. It doesn't. I think the way the community conducts itself to a certain extent is very self-destructive, right? How can ArenaNet possibly gather feedback if there are two opposite sides of the same coin, right? Like there are certain people that you'll see in online communities who will defend literally everything ArenaNet do and will never offer criticism, right? Like they you know, if you try and criticize them, they'll try and shut you down, right? And to the point where I think that they're borderline trolls, right? I think we know, we know, okay, like what I'm talking about.
We all know,
right? But you, on the other hand, you also have some people who will just bash the game no matter what they do and just say, yep, it is complete fucking dog shit and nothing ArenaNet can do will ever be good, right? And the thing is, like, so suppose you're either of those people, right? And you want the game to be better because you like the game. Because ultimately, guys, if you're in a position where you actually care enough to actually say like, oh dude, this game is fucking trash, uninstall the game, fucking horrible, right? Okay, if you're actually in a fucking Twitch stream talking about Guild Wars 2, you obviously care about the game to some degree. So you probably want the game to be better, right? Like if that is your position, then you know you want to try and give the most useful feedback to ArenaNet possible so they can try and fix the game, right? Like, but if you don't really give very good feedback, then there's like a 0% chance that the game is going to get better. But if you give good feedback, then yeah, maybe you won't get listened to. Maybe it's a 1% chance that you get listened to and the game gets better. But you know what? 1% is better than 0%. And it's kind of the same as true for the other side of the coin as well, right? Like if you are completely uncritical of ArenaNet, then they'll never know what's going wrong, right? And you know, if the community appears to be like insanely divided and split on every single issue, then what is the company supposed to make of when they're trying to go like, okay, like this needs to be improved, right? Oh yeah, like you know, this could be better. Or this was really good, right? Like this worked out really well. Let's keep doing that, right? So I think it is important for both sides to you know, be balanced and consider more perspectives because otherwise it's insanely difficult for the community to, for the developer to actually do anything, right? A really amazing example of this is actually PvP balance. And this isn't a Guild Wars 2 thing. And honestly, what I'm describing here, guys, this isn't a Guild Wars 2 community thing. I want to make that very clear. I'm not targeting Guild Wars 2 players in particular. I'm not accusing Guild Wars 2 players of this, right? I'm accusing players of this, of video games. Like, this is like a very video game thing as well. Like, when a class gets nerfed in any, literally any game, we're talking like if a champion gets nerfed in League, if a hero gets nerfed in Dota, if a fucking gun gets nerfed in CSGO, like whatever it is, like this same thing is going to happen. You're going to have people who say that it's amazing, and this is like the best thing ever. And you're also going to have people who say that, yep, the game is completely dead. This company has no idea what they're doing. Why would you ever nerf this character, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, they don't understand the game at all. Complete idiots, right? And you already see it, Sid. The forums are so good right now, okay? Oh, it's amazing. The subreddit is not as spicy as I was hoping. The forums, though, has delivered, my friends, okay? Nice. People are crying a lot, right? But the thing is, that feedback is useless because the players are complete papakers. I mean, with no real capacity to accurately evaluate stuff. What I'm trying to get at here, guys, is that always try and consider a position from multiple angles. Otherwise, you might be missing something, and that might lead you to, you know, maybe make a bad conclusion, or a conclusion that doesn't fully evaluate all of the facts of the matter. There you go. I guess that's all I've got.
Wise words to end on.
Yeah. That's all I got, guys. I suppose.
You completely missed the guy on your stream farming that nimble onslaught achievement, right? Just sky scaling it above the boss. But then I realized your character is doing exactly that right now.
Well, look, I already have. I already have that. How dare you? Yeah, I already have that achievement, actually.
Amazing.
But yeah, I just thought, look, wouldn't it be sick if I could have TeaTime, but the boss fight's going on at the same time? Wouldn't that be fucking sick?
Amazing. This
look
looks
at it.
So cool.
Yeah. It's fucking nice energy right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why does X class only get 30% up? Exactly, Sin. Right. To be fair, Sin, you got away with it, mate. Fucking DP degeneracy still all over the place. So that is pretty good stuff. But I think that will about do it for TeaTime, actually, guys. So yeah, it feels damn good to be back. This is one of my favorite things, actually, to do. Like, no joke. I absolutely love talking about the game with my boys, with you guys on the stream there as well, and you know, obviously the hosts. You know, my friends, the hosts as well. I absolutely fucking love it. So I am happy to be back. It is a shame Inks wasn't able to make it. I think he's still asleep. But then again, look, guys, if anyone that
he was here in spirit.
If anyone can't criticize people for being asleep, it's me. Okay, so I can't really do anything there. I've got absolutely no way to criticize him there. So there we go. He was here in spirit indeed. Ben, thanks for the 300 TeaTime and late balance stream. But yeah, I did a 10-hour balance stream. It was fucking intense, dude. It was big stuff. But yeah, I think that'll about do it, guys, for this TeaTime. Thank you very much for watching. And it's now time for everyone to follow all the streams. Deroir, what's going on?
All the streams.
You've been doing some Guild Wars 2 streams recently. Where the patch came out. Are there any plans?
Yeah, no plans, no commitment there, but I do pop in and out here and there whenever I feel like it. So yeah, stuff is still happening. I'm still streaming, all that.
Okay, I like it. We like that shit. Okay, that's good. So once again, guys, be sure to follow Deroir. Okay, he's easy. He's just Deroir. He's also linked below the stream as well. And hang on, I'll make the bot do it as well. Well, I hope he'll do it. Let's see. Will you do it, bot? I don't know. Oh,
it's all right. It's not that many names to remember anyway.
There we go. Boom. It did it.
Posts.
Excellent.
I am many people who believe that you should click that link.
Oh, well, there you go. But yeah, and then also over here, guys, it's me. Follow the stream if you like TeaTime, if you like Guild Wars 2, if you like me getting triggered at new world updates as well. So that's also good. You know, I can do that as well. But yeah, follow the stream, subscribe to the stream. Guild Wars 2 is on sale. Buy the game using our referral links, 1 all each, maybe 10 all each to really utilize that Lunar New Year stuff there as well, guys.
Yeah.
Go.
You've got one day.
Go.
Do it.
Thanks for the bits, Ben. Thanks, Yared Oati, for the tier 1 sub 7 months. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really, really appreciate it. It's good to be back. More tea times will be fully re-enabled here, guys, as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Like, we should be getting that stuff about the place. Look at those Hylic emotes, dude. That's some fucking good shit there. We're gonna raid Rocker right now, guys, because, you know, we're gonna check out some of that Weeaboo game instead, guys. You guys want to see a Weeb game? Yeah, you're about to see a Weeb game, guys. So yeah, thanks for watching. Say hi to Rocker for me, guys. You have a wonderful evening. Write us a YouTube comment and go and watch the VOD back again on YouTube there as well. So yeah, follow, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Give us your money, boys, okay? Support amazing content, all that stuff. Links below, blah, blah, blah. That's all I've got, guys. Good evening, my friends. Say hi to Rocker and, I don't know, accuse him of liking cat girls too much or bunny girls or some shit, whatever they do in that game. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.